Tshwane Council Speaker Mncedi Mzwanana is expected to face a DA-sponsored motion of no confidence today. The party accuses the ATM councillor of disregarding council rules and procedures, claiming he abuses his position of authority. Mzwanana was elected to the role more than 2 years ago with the support of the ANC-led coalition. DA Chief Whip Clement Manyathela says most of the Speaker's decisions are driven by emotions rather than rules of council.
We have lost all confidence in him in ensuring that he plays a fair and partial role in chairing council. We will therefore be calling upon all other councillors in the sitting to support this motion, whether you are in opposition or in the governing coalition, so that we get a speaker that is fair and just and will be able to run the council in a fair and partial manner.
It's emerged that South Africa is featured among countries that have received faulty cancer medication that may have caused the deaths of some patients. A study by the Notre Dame University in collaboration with the Bureau of Investigative Journalism has revealed that 1/5 of the cancer medication tested among 4 African countries failed quality standards. The report shows that the questionable medication has been used on cancer patients in more than 100 countries and has been shipped from India. The National Health Department here at home has confirmed that the drugs are being used to treat patients. Khumutso Modisa reports.
While none of the samples of doxorubicin or methotrexate that was shipped into South Africa was tested in the study, these are some of the chemotherapy drugs that were found to either have too little active pharmaceutical ingredients to work or had too much toxicity in them that may have caused death. According to the report, South Africa received 850 packages of these medicines, which made their way to pharmacies and hospitals between 2018 and 2023. The Bureau for Investigative Journalism's Angela Milivojevic.
So the drugs that researchers from University of Notre Dame tested have failed quality testing, which means that their active ingredient has been measured, and active ingredient in some of them is really, really low. So that means that they are probably not going to help a patient at all. And in some of them, active ingredient is so high that they become toxic.
While researchers say South Africa is on the list of countries that receive these drugs, it's unclear if any cancer patients succumb to the disease while receiving treatment with these drugs. Khumutso Modisa, Eyewitness News.
The Eastern Cape government will brief the public today on its response to the floods that have devastated parts of the province, with 101 fatalities confirmed. The briefing comes as a cold front is expected to hit the region today, bringing strong winds and freezing conditions that could complicate ongoing recovery operations. Most of the victims have been found in the OR Tambo district, where search teams are still looking for 2 missing children believed to be swept away by the floods. Mongezi Koko has more from Mthatha.
The weather is expected to take a turn today, with the South African Weather Service warning of gale force winds, rain and freezing cold conditions. It is likely to impact parts of the flood-hit OR Tambo district, where crews from SAPS Disaster Management and Aid Organization Gift of the Givers have spent weeks searching riverbanks, rubble and waterways. The Eastern Cape government says today's briefing will provide a full update on the death toll, identification processes and relief plans for affected communities. Of the 101 confirmed recoveries, 94 bodies have been identified and claimed by families, but 7 remain unclaimed, some in a state that requires DNA matching. The briefing is also expected to touch on the impact of the cold front and what support will be offered to families still without homes, heat or basic supplies. Mongezi Koko, Eyewitness News, Mthatha.
And cannabis store owners and activists in Thailand have hit out at new government plans to tighten the rules on selling the drug by requiring a doctor's approval. The kingdom was the first country in Southeast Asia to decriminalize the drug when it removed cannabis from the list of banned narcotics in 2022. The intention was to allow sales from medical rather than recreational use, but the move led to hundreds of dispensaries springing up around the country, particularly in Bangkok. While the relaxation has proved popular with some tourists, there are concerns that the trade is under-regulated. Gold is trading at $3,338.86 an ounce. The rand is at 17.65 to the dollar, 24.21 to the pound, 20.64 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $67.90 a barrel.
And in the traffic, we've got delays along the R21 north in the Tembisa area. This is just as you approach the Olifantsfontein Road off-ramp, and that's due to the roadworks that are taking place along that route. There's also queuing traffic along the N1 South coming out of Rivonia Road towards Winnie Mandela Drive. Please be on the lookout there.
A fine day in store for Gauteng. The temperatures will peak at highs between 20 and 21 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour. Tshwane Council Speaker Mncedi Mzwanana is expected to face a DA-sponsored motion of no confidence today.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app. This July, you won't just take a step, you'll take a stand. The 702 Walk the Talk is hosted by Freedom Park in the city of Tshwane. Get your tickets today on primemediaplus.com.
You're with Clement Manyathela
On 702.
Let's Walk the Talk, streaming on the Prime Media Plus app,
DSTV channel 856.
92.7 and 106 FM.
Seven minutes after 9 o'clock. Eitada. Good morning, Dumelang, Sanbonani. Happy Thursday. Welcome to the Clement Manyathela Show. I hope you're good this morning. It's wonderful to be in your company as always. Thank you for choosing us here on 702. Why did Action SA abstain from a vote in the motion of no confidence in the Johannesburg Mayor Dada Morero? Yesterday, as you have heard throughout the show yesterday and this morning on Eyewitness News, the mayor survived a motion of no confidence, winning 144 votes to 75, while the speaker was removed and the city is now without a speaker. So if Action SA is so appalled by the mayor's incompetence, why didn't they vote him out and be on the right side of history? Were they worried about complicating their coalition in Tshwane? Because their mayor there, Dr. Nasipi Moya, would be left vulnerable. The point here is, was this really about service delivery for Action SA? Or was it about prioritizing their own political interests? So don't be fooled and think of them as some kind of heroes because they abstained. They did it, I think, to protect the Tshwane mayor. And that, my friends, is how politicians move. I would rather an Al Jamaa that comes out and proudly votes against the motion because they are clear about where they stand, whether you agree with them or not, or the DA or any other party that voted in support of the motion, because they are clear of where they stand, whether you agree with them or not. But to claim that you're not happy with the mayor and his leadership and you abstain is a little weird to me. Here's what Michael Beaumont, in fact, the chairperson of Action SA, said just yesterday.
We have conveyed to the ANC that we believe that the problem is Dada Morero and not the ANC. We are working with the ANC very well in the city of Tshwane, where we are in coalition, and in Ekurhuleni, where we aren't in coalition, we are finding a mayor who is engaging and consulting. So we've been at pains to point out to the ANC that this is not an act of hostility against the party. It is just simply the fact that Action SA cannot vote to defend this mayor. Now, I need to make something abundantly clear. The ANC has said to Action SA that if we do not support them in this motion of no confidence, they will act against our speaker and abstain in that vote, which in all probability means that Action SA is likely to lose our speaker in the city of Johannesburg today. That's absolutely fine. I have come from an engagement with our speaker and her staff where we have briefed them on the situation, and they agree with us that we cannot vote in order to retain positions, but against the wishes of the residents of Johannesburg.
At the wishes of the residents of Johannesburg, if you are so unhappy with service delivery, you would have heard that many of them have complained about the state of Johannesburg. The president himself has raised concerns, and yet when you had the opportunity to do it, and not because, it would have changed things, the mayor would have been out, because the numbers were still with that government of local unity, but you're on the right side of history. At least you've done something. That's what history records. So, do you see it differently? Do you think Action SA are just protecting their interests in Tshwane? Or do you think this was good strategy on the part of Action SA? And yes, they sit comfortably, you could argue, in Tshwane because they are the kingmaker, whether they are with the DA or with the ANC. But nothing is cast in stone in politics. Things could change. Let me know your thoughts about how Action SA has moved yesterday. 011-883-0702 is the number to dial. You can send a WhatsApp on 072-702-1702. Guess who's still fighting for dual membership? The former president, Jacob Zuma. So the MK party this morning releases a statement confirming that Jacob Zuma has launched an application today against President Cyril Ramaphosa and the ANC in the High Court to set aside what Action SA says it's the unlawful decision of the ANC to terminate his 65-year-long membership of the ANC. And the statement goes on to say the president is on record saying that his membership of the real ANC of Luthuli, Tambo and Mandela cannot be erased by sellouts and the DA puppets like Ramaphosa and Mbalula. The MK party is fully behind President Zuma in this groundbreaking case, which will hopefully see his dual membership of the MK party and the real ANC, not the sellout ANC of Ramaphosa, restored. So, President Cyril Ramaphosa, Jacob Zuma, clearly still fighting to get and retain his membership of the ANC, or the real ANC, as he says. What do you think of that? Between 10 and 11 o'clock, we're going to do our hanging out feature. And today, I'm going to be hanging out with Siboniso Gaxa. He's a retired soccer player. He's an aspiring lawyer as well. He's been around. He played for SuperSport United. He played for Mamelodi Sundowns at some point. He moved abroad to play in Belgium, came back to join Kaizer Chiefs. And I think that's probably where he enjoyed, arguably, the most successful spell of his career. Remember during those years, winning the 2 PSL titles, the Nedbank Cup, the MTN 8, making nearly 90 appearances. Bidvest Vets as well, he was there. Ajax, Cape Town, where he brought his playing career to a close in 2018. But his debut for South Africa was in 2005, I think, during a World Cup qualifier against Cape Verde. And over the next 8 years after that, he earned more than 50 caps for Bafana Bafana. So what do you remember the most about Siboniso Gaxa? We're going to get to know him better between 10 and 11 o'clock. I think he's got such a wonderful, inspirational story. At 11 o'clock, we do our Thursday dialogue. And today, we're focusing on 70 years of the Freedom Charter. 70 years on. How have we done since the adoption of the Freedom Charter? Have we achieved all the ideals of the Freedom Charter? Have we fallen short of the Freedom Charter? Today marks 70 years since the political formations from all racial groups, black, white, colored, Indian, they met for the Congress of the People in Kliptown in Soweto. This is where the Freedom Charter was adopted as a blueprint for what a democratic South Africa would look like, with 10 clauses, right, which cover human rights and dignity, equality before the law, and access to land and wealth ownership, among others. So the Freedom Charter was that precursor to this respected constitution that we have. But some of its clauses, which include, by the way, South Africa belongs to all who live in it, black and white, and that no government can justly claim authority unless it is based on the will of the people. There are those who argue those have been realized. But where do we find ourselves? Out of all the ideals, out of all what was intentioned to be achieved, where do you think we find ourselves today? That's a conversation we're going to have at 11 o'clock. I'll have someone from the EFF, the ANC, the MK party. I'll bring in the PAC as well. But I'm interested in your thoughts also at 11 o'clock when we start that chat. That's the show coming up over the next 3 hours.
Clement Manyathela, streaming on the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856,
92.7
and 106 FM.
Good morning, Clement. I think you're being unfair, and even some listeners on 702, they are being unfair to Action SA. Action SA is balancing things as the same as DA is balancing things at national. They are in coalition with ANC in Tshwane. DA is in coalition with ANC at national. So, what is the difference?
Hey, but who's criticizing the Action SA from being in a coalition with the ANC? I'm not criticizing them for that. I'm saying be careful of taking what politicians say and they want to position themselves as heroes. Like, oh, look at us, we abstained. Oh, please. Why are you abstaining? If you're so appalled by service delivery in the city, just like the president is, if you are so dissatisfied with the leadership of the mayor, why are you still abstaining? Huh? Imagine being in a jury. If you're in the US system, you're in the jury, and here is somebody that you are so convinced murdered someone, but you abstain from a vote. But you are so convinced that this Abel committed a murder. Why are you abstaining? Be on the right side of history. Not everything has to be about political expediency. But then, these are politicians. What do we expect? And I'm just saying, remember that politicians are always going to come and lie to you as if whatever decisions they take are in your best interests. And I'm saying, have foresight. Don't take whatever politicians say and think, oh, they care about me, that's why they abstained. Ask critical questions. If they are so appalled, why are you not voting? Why are you voting him out? It's because they're trying to protect their political interests, including what's happening in Tshwane. Because if you vote out the mayor in Johannesburg, do you think the ANC is just going to smile at you and allow for you to continue running Tshwane with their support? It doesn't work like that in politics.
Hi, Clement. The clip that you just played of Michael Bowman, the chairperson of Action SA, I'm actually shocked that he is the one now saying that the problem wasn't the ANC, but actually Dada Morero. So the problem now is no longer ANC, which has been running Joburg for so many years into the ground, but now it's Dada Morero the problem. Do these politicians even listen to themselves when they speak sometimes? This is just a disgrace, and it's shocking, actually. Wow. This is Mdu in the Val.
Good morning, Clement and 702 listeners. Regarding former President Jacob Zuma's membership of the ANC, I think it is just an emotional feeling. That's why he mentioned there that he's been a member for 65 years. So he would have wanted this record to be broken by himself, maybe by resigning, not to be done by somebody else in the case of being dismissed. Then regarding the ANC that he says he wants to join off Luthuli and OR Tambo and whatever, this is not the same ANC, so why would he want to join? Because the current one is for Ramaphosa and Mbalula, and he says those are sellouts. So which ANC is he joining now? Because there's only one ANC. Thank you.
Yeah, that's the thing. He wants to retain his membership of the quote-unquote real ANC. But which is that then? Because it's gone. ANC of Luthuli, I mean, on his account, he says that no longer exists. Because of the ANC of Figile, Malula and Cyril Ramaphosa is not a real ANC. So why are you still trying then to retain your membership because the ANC is no longer what it used to be? Yeah, I don't know. But I wonder what they're going to say to Floyd Shivambu. Floyd tomorrow has a briefing. I don't know what he's going to announce. He may very well say, okay, we've heard you, South Africa, we're starting a new party. And then, watch, if Floyd says, I'm not going to resign from the MK party, I'm going to hold dual membership, what are they going to do? They allowed it. I mean, in this statement, even in their constitution, in fact, they justify the dual membership. Question is that only applicable for a president of the MK party because he is the powerful, respected Jacob Zuma, and anybody else is not going to be allowed to hold dual membership? In fact, Abel, please find me the clip of, there was who remembers the Secretary General, one of the many Secretary Generals of the MK party? I remember I interviewed him on Face the Nation, and I asked him about if Jacob Zuma, the president of the MK party, can have dual membership, are you going to allow other members of the MK party to also hold dual membership? And he couldn't respond to that question. There was dead air. He was silent. So many seconds. And that just tells you that sometimes there are people who are serving an individual, but they can't explain some of the principles that have guided the decisions that serve that individual, especially when you try to apply it across the board. Politics, eh? It's 20 minutes after 9.
We are woven into the same soil that shapes South Africa. Its dreams, its energy, its promise. These guide us. Together, we've built progress hand in hand, from the mines to bustling main streets, from one generation to the next. With communities, government, and partners, every initiative from healthcare to education, youth empowerment to entrepreneurship lights the way forward. Because we don't just mine minerals, we mine possibility and progress with purpose. Together, we're shaping what's next, mining potential, building beyond. Anglo-American.
Tabo is trying hard to remember a song he heard at the gym. Shame. Thanks to the new Samsung A56, he can give his brain a break. Simply press and hold the home button, tap on the music key symbol, hum or sing the melody, and boom! The Circle to Search AI feature instantly finds the song for you. Now Tabo can have an awesome gym session jamming to the best hits. Galaxy A56. Awesome intelligence is here.
For over 40 years, we've stood with the artists, championing the arts in all their forms. Now we unveil the next chapter, the Standard Bank Art Lab, a new gallery space where bold ideas take center stage. Opening with a celebration of tapestry, because like these woven masterpieces, the arts are woven into who we are. Step inside, let the art move you, grow you. Standard Bank, proud lead B20 sponsor. Authorized FSP and registered credit provider.
Of course you could take the lift just one floor up. Or you could grab the new Berry Blue sports drink from Aquila Vive and get moving. Blue has never tasted so good. Bursting with bold berry flavor, packed with electrolytes and vitamins, and free from colorants. Aquila Vive sports and power drinks. Let's move.
As the official retail partner of the Springboks, Pick n Pay ASAP is proud to bring the pride of the nation to you and give you the chance to be the ultimate smart supporter. Money or the box on 702. WhatsApp your name, ID number, and the word ASAP to 072 702 1702. You could face the ultimate choice, a mystery Springbok supporter prize, or Pick n Pay ASAP vouchers worth up to 2,000 Rand. It's time to show your box spirit. Money or the box with Pick n Pay ASAP. Friday on 702 Drive with John Perlman. T's and C's on primemediaplus.com.
Your voice.
Your station.
Your open line.
Walk the talk with Clement Manyathela
on 702.
23 minutes after 9 o'clock. This is the 702 open line. Your calls on 011-883-0702. WhatsApp's on 072-702-1702. Jabulisile, you are in Midrand. Good morning.
Morning, Marimecha. How are you?
Ke gona le kae?
Clement, I'm so disappointed with Action SA. I think it's its own enemy because you know what? They formed this party on the ticket of getting rid of the ANC. But now, yesterday, them abstaining from voting, you know, it says a lot about them because most of their voters, they voted for them because they didn't want the ANC. And now, I don't understand why did they abstain. They should have voted to get rid of Dada Morero, but instead they were saving their own skin so that they could keep their mayor in Tshwane. And I'm so disappointed with this party, really.
Right, Jabulisile in Midrand, thank you for your call. Tabiso in Polokwane, what do you want to say? Hi.
Clement, maybe perhaps we need to start this thing from the beginning. You know, Jacob Zuma was elected as the president of the ANC in 2007. And among many other people who were involved upon his election, I was a delegate to that 2007 conference. Was Fikile Mbalula, who was the president of the Youth League. He actually even postponed the conference of the Youth League so that Zuma can get a free passage from the ANC Youth League. Remember the noise that was there between 2000 and again, Jacob Zuma got elected again as the president of the ANC in 2012 in Mangaung. And who was his deputy president at that particular time? So now, all these people that he claims that they are leading the current ANC and they are not the correct ones. He was involved in them either deputizing or being involved in his campaign to be elected subsequently as the president of the ANC and the country. So now, for him to have lost a particular conference, and therefore now he start to see, he's born again now, he start to see this is the wrong ANC is actually perplexing. Jacob Zuma is actually playing with us. He wants to keep himself in the public, like what Bob Floyd and many other people do. Just to keep yourself talking to the media, going to court and all of that, and avoiding all the challenges that is actually facing in terms of his party that is dwindling, secondly, his court cases and many other issues. The man loves court cases. That you must know. If there's one thing that will keep himself going, it's court. So now I'm not worried about what he's actually doing. Just want to keep himself in the media so that these people can go up, can go there and start singing. No, Jacob Zuma is the one who has led the ANC. But what about his involvement in the leading of the ANC for a period of 10 years? Why is he discounting it and saying, no, I've led the ANC correctly, this is what I've done. If indeed he has led the ANC correctly, we wouldn't have had a constitutional court case that said we must have a state capture commission. With Jacob Zuma, by the way, it happened in that way. So now we're dealing with all these particular problems that we are faced with as a result of his own doing. And all these people that he claims that these are not the correct people of the ANC. Maybe they see Jesus Christ now, this one. We'll see.
We'll see. Tabiso in Polokwane, thank you for your call. By the way, as you anticipate Floyd Shivambu's briefing tomorrow, because I don't know, I don't know if he's decided that he wants to start a new party, but if he does decide he wants to start a new party, I wonder if he's going to try and say, I'm retaining my membership as an MK party member, or I'm resigning from the MK party. But in case he's going to claim that he's retaining his membership, maybe we should remind him of what he had said when he was in the MK party.
Members of MKP are not allowed to be members of another political party, except organization and formal alliances with the MKP. So, save for exceptional and strategic circumstances approved by the officials. So the case and the situation of our president and Commander General President is a strategic and circumstance.
It's a strategic circumstance. So nobody else can do it but the president. So if he comes tomorrow and says, yeah, but I'm retaining my membership of MK and I'm going to have this party because the president did it, he himself, as the drafter of the constitution of the MK, said, only the president, and that's for strategic purposes. Hey? It's 28 minutes now, after 9 o'clock.
Your voice.
Your station.
Your open line.
Walk the talk with Clement Manyathela
on 702.
How do you navigate awkward conversations about prenups when you get married? I'm asking you this question because I was having a chat with the producers this morning about the Amazon founder and one of the world's richest men. I don't know if you've been following the story, Jeff Bezos. So he seems like he doesn't want to take chances with his upcoming wedding to his girlfriend. I think it's Lorraine Sanchez. And this comes after his much publicized, remember that divorce in 2019 from his first wife, Mackenzie Scott. I mean, that cost him an estimated 38 billion rand. $billion, not rands. $38 billion. That's a lot of money. And at the time, that made her ex-wife one of the wealthiest women in the world. And this time around, because he's preparing to marry this girlfriend, Lorraine, he wants an ironclad prenuptial. And lawyers are representing both parties, and they continue to wrangle. I thought this only happens in the movies, where you see lawyers representing the wife-to-be, lawyers representing the husband-to-be, and they're having tough conversations about how tight the contract is going to be because they're thinking about their interests. But it actually happens in real life. And it's gotten to a point where the wedding has even been postponed because the lawyers are not finding each other. I mean, as you can imagine, the lawyers for the wife are like, if the proverbial ish hits the fan, this wife must walk away with at least $30 billion or something. Whereas on the other side, his lawyers are like, I need a watertight contract because the last time I lost $38 billion and I made another woman the richest woman in the world. And I wonder how you've navigated those conversations in your own scenario. How do you talk about this? Because I find it to be so awkward. And I don't know when I get to that stage how I'm going to navigate that chat. How did you talk about how your marriage is going to be defined and contracted? When you discuss prenuptials, are you married in community of property? How did you decide on that? Did your wife push you to it? Your husband push you to it? Or are you someone who has decided to have a watertight contract? You've got a prenup, and whatever belongs to you belongs to you, whatever belongs to me belongs to me. But how did you navigate that chat? Because some people are so sensitive that they can be offended by a conversation when you bring up a prenup and you say, I want us to just keep our own stuff. Because then you're thinking, oh, are you anticipating a divorce at some point? How do you navigate conversations like that? How have you navigated them? Please share your stories with us. Give me a call on 011-883-0702. WhatsApp's on 072 702 1702. It's 9:31. Sfiso has the latest in Eyewitness News headlines. Good morning.
Thanks, Clemens. Good morning. Search and rescue crews are anticipating working under difficult conditions today due to a cold front that's landed in the Eastern Cape. An operation is ongoing for missing people more than 2 weeks after floods ravaged the province. At least 100 other people have died so far. The MK party says it's ready to fire all cylinders after finally filing or filling its full complement of seats in the National Assembly. 9 new MPs were sworn in yesterday to take up seats left by members fired by the party last year. Parliamentary leader John Lopez says the new MPs bring with them a wealth of experience to bolster the opposition benches. And a man who was on death row in Mississippi in the US for almost 50 years has been executed. Richard Gerald Jordan kidnapped and killed Edwana Mata, a stay-at-home mother who was married to a banker, in a violent ransom scheme. And those are the headlines. This EWN and more at 10 or as it happens.
EWN Traffic.
Heading towards Rand Park Ridge, we've got an accident on the N1 North. It happened right near Besodia Drive. It's causing delays. Please be on the lookout there. While traveling in Bramley, some delays on the N1 South. This is the Mike 1 South, between Grayston Drive and Coilet Drive due to an earlier accident. Please be on the lookout there. And traveling on the M2 East, we still have got major delays between Heidelberg Road and Reuven Road. If you do know exactly what's happening there, please do let us know on X at EWN Traffic. Otherwise, traveling in the city of Tshwane, we still have got massive queues on the N1 South between Montana Park and Stormful Road, Eastland, due to an accident right near the Proof Plus turn off. Delays of about a 20-minute hold up there, so please be on the lookout and try to avoid. We'll have more updates for you at the top of the hour.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app. 702 Afternoons
with Relebogile Mabota, 1 to 3 p.m.
When it comes to sales and things like that, many people are susceptible to impulse buying. I'm one of them, but I will never do it from money I don't actually have.
I think that's such a great point that you make. Sometimes we do want to spoil ourselves, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But use money you have. Don't use money you don't have. And that would be something like a credit card. The interest rates that you have to pay back on a credit card are insane. They are so high. And if you're going to put everything on your credit card and you're going to not be disciplined in terms of impulse buying, you're going to get into a bit of a debt snowball.
Melody Kluti, training specialist at Bidvest Life.
702 Afternoons
with Relebogile Mabota.
Let's walk the talk.
This year, the Standard Bank Joy of Jazz Festival invites you to 3 unforgettable days in the heart and art of jazz from the 26th to the 28th of September across 4 enchanting stages at the Sandton Convention Center, where you'll be mesmerized by world-renowned stars like Esperanza Spalding, Hakan Bassar Trio, Jasmia Horn, Elaine, Amanda Black, Michelle Denjieshelo, Louis Nechivale, Gabi Mutuba, and over 50 other world-class acts. Take me there. Buy your tickets at Ticketmaster now.
It's breakfast time and you've just realized you're out of your pet's favorite food again.
You know the drill. Traffic, queues, hauling bulky bags. But not anymore. Pet Shop Science is now on 60/60. Get specialized pet food and premium pet care brands delivered on the same day in precisely scheduled 60-minute time slots. No stress, no rush, just happy tails and full bowls. Pet Shop Science, the science behind happy pets. Available in selected areas only. T&Cs apply.
Year in, year out, we're fixing tires faster than a Formula One pit crew. My team is on top of things like tire whisperers. If an unforeseen accident were to happen in my workshop, at least I've got My Way business insurance to keep the wheels turning.
Visit myway.co.za or dial 0860 64 64 64 and get a quote today. My Way is a licensed non-life insurer and FSP. T's, C's and standard rates apply. My Way. Live your way.
Two iconic South African acts, one unforgettable stage. Jeremy Loops and Ladysmith Black Mambazo present Echoes Between Us. Live at the Teatro at Monte Casino on 19 and 20 September. Experience this once-in-a-lifetime collaboration of rhythm, harmony, and heritage with these exclusive shows. Tickets on sale now from Web Tickets. Proudly supported by 702 and 947.
Your voice.
Your station.
Your open line.
Walk the talk with Clement Manyathela
on 702.
It's 23 minutes now before 10 o'clock. This is the 702 open line. We're taking your calls on 011-883-0702. The WhatsApp line on 072-702-1702. Here's the clip of that former MK Party Secretary General I was telling you about earlier. And his name is Sfiso Maseko. He was the MK Party Secretary General at the time. This is when they were trying to explain this dual membership of President Jacob Zuma for MK Party and the ANC. This was on Face the Nation many, many months ago.
Can you hold a dual membership? Can you hold it in the organization? Like be a member of the MK and be a member of another party? I think when you look in terms of when you join in terms of MK, you join an MK and you become a volunteer within MK and you become an activist within MK. And that's what our constitution is concentrating on. It's concentrating in terms of, we must have in terms of members that we've had from the philosophy and ideology that they align with the Pan-Africanism approach.
Yeah, but that didn't answer the question, right? I mean, he paused there for a number of seconds, then doesn't answer the question because they struggled to explain, can members do that? And if members can't do that and it's just the president, what kind of party is that where there are certain rules that are only applicable to all members and others only applicable, other principles only applicable to the president of the party? Well, I'm playing you that clip on the back of what the MK Party has communicated this morning. They released a statement saying that the president of the MK Party today has launched an application against the decision by the ANC. So he wants the decision to be set aside as unlawful, the decision by the ANC to terminate his 65-year-long membership of the African National Congress. 20 minutes before 10.
Your voice.
Your station.
Your open line.
Walk the talk with Clement Manyathela
on 702.
So what conversations have you had with your partner about prenups, about getting married in community of property? Was it awkward? How did you navigate that? It's such a sensitive conversation. And I think it just really requires maturity. And you've got to put yourself aside. You don't want to be seen as someone who anticipates a breakup or someone who wants to benefit from someone's riches or investments or what they've managed to invest in and amass for themselves. And this is based on what Jeff Bezos, one of the world's richest men, has done. In fact, to be fair on the ex-wife, by the way, Lauren, the reason, no, that's the girlfriend, Lauren, the ex-wife, Mackenzie Scott, who walked away with an estimated 38 billion rand. The reason there could also be that they sort of started their company together, Amazon, right? And maybe that's part of the reason why that amount of money is so high. But either way, there are so many marriages that end up in divorce where either it's the husband or the wife who walks away with a lot of money. Do you have a watertight contract, and how did you navigate that? How did you negotiate that with your partner? Or are you a type of person who didn't care? You're just in love and you said, let's go in deep. If there are risks here, I'm willing to absorb those.
Clement, hi, this is Sole. What is the difference between a prenuptial and a funeral plan or funeral insurance? Surely you should anticipate and plan for both: a divorce, the end of a shared life, and the end of life here on earth.
I guess the difference is with a funeral, when you're planning for that, all of us know that we're going to die, right? Aren't we all going to die? But when you are there, walking that aisle, and you're there in front of the pastor or whatever, an elder, whichever way you get married, and you say, till death do us part, apart or part, do us part, apart. So what do you mean by that? That means you're saying till the end. And I suppose that's the difference. And that's if for those who have, of course, said those kind of vows, because some people don't say those. They just speak from the heart and they keep it going, keep it moving. So with the funeral, we all know we're going to. But with marriage, not all of us. In fact, if anything, when you are at the point of getting married, aren't you at your happiest? I'd like to believe so. I mean, maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong, those people who are married. When you are getting married, aren't you at your happiest? And when you are at your happiest, you are seeing, I'm dying with this person. Like, we're going to be together for the rest of our lives. Death is what's going to separate us. Yeah, I would say that's sort of the difference I see there.
Good morning, Clement. When we got married, we were advised to have an ANC, an antenuptial contract, because I'm a business owner, and if something were to go wrong from a legal point of view, it means that at least half of the assets in the marriage would be protected. Thank goodness nothing like that has ever happened, and we don't even use the D word, i.e. divorce, in our home. So it's got nothing to do with contingency plans of a possible future breakup, but it was a good part of legal advice that we were given.
Hi, Clement. With regards to the marriage of Jeff Bezos and this whole prenuptial agreement saga, I find it very odd and strange. I mean, the fact that you raise the point of prenuptial agreement, it simply means that you don't really trust your marriage. You actually believe that somewhere down the line, this marriage is going to go off. So why bother getting married in the first place if that thought comes to your mind? I'm married, and the last thing I'll ever think of is, okay, should we ever divorce? How are we going to split everything in half? The fact that that topic comes to the subject, I mean, I feel like you don't trust each other, or I feel like you still see that, down the line, she's going to leave me or I'm going to leave her. So I feel like in the first place, if you ever feel, or if that thought ever comes to your mind, don't get married. Joe, thanks.
So, okay.
Hi, Clement and the 702 family. So my situation is slightly different. First, I was married in community of property. Then, because my partner was taking loans without my consent, and the bank seemed to grant it. Because they wanted to do businesses and all. We had a post-nuptial agreement. The lawyers drafted that for us just to, protect myself, because, if somebody else is taking loans and, this life is not guaranteed, I didn't want to be left with so much debt. That's my story.
And that makes sense. right? I mean, that absolutely makes sense to me. But someone else may be offended. And I wonder if you would be willing to walk away if your partner says, no, I do not want to get married to you in community of property. Keep what you own, I keep what I own, and maybe we can share whatever we, both invest in. Is that a deal breaker for you? Huh? Spiwe, you're in Durban. Good morning.
Hey, morning, Clement. How are you?
Shop, man. How are you?
Good. I'm all right, man. I was touched by that gentleman that phoned and said having a funeral policy is no different than having. So for me, this is just me. Maybe it's because my background, and I'm talking about me, superior only, guys. I'm from a Christian background, and for when my wife and I got married 21 years ago, that was not even a discussion. We just got married, and we are still married, very heavy, 21 years later on. I can't imagine myself with anyone else but the lady that I'm with right now. However, in a perfect world, my opinion, there should not be a prenup agreement in a perfect world. If someone really, really finds their soulmate, so-called soulmate, I think I did. I was one of the fortunate ones to find the soulmate. However, it's not a perfect world. So because there's so many things happening, I do understand the thing of the prenup, but I'm not so sure of the comparison of that of general policy and the prenup agreement. Yeah. So that's my opinion. Superior from Durban.
Thank you, Superior. I got you. Superior in Durban, thank you for your call.
Yes, Clement, you are at your happiest when you're getting married, but then you're not at your blindest, because you must be able to foresee that things happen. There's debts, as in dikoloto, that might just be the proverbial ish. So you want to protect your partner from things that aren't visible now but could hinder your happiness in the future. So you're protecting your partner, your future children, and all those things. So you're happy, but then you want to keep that happiness intact in case things happen. So we signed the ANC for those reasons, not because I'm planning on divorcing you, but I want to stay with you forever, so that we will be able to deal with financial problems should we come across those in the future, in a way that is able to protect you as my husband, you see.
Yeah, but that's such a mature way of putting it. It is. David and Bram, hi. Hey, David.
Hi, Clement. How are you?
I'm all right, man. Go ahead.
Good, man. I was actually coming into this, and I was listening to what you're saying, and it actually intrigued me, because I recently had a conversation with a bunch of friends about this. So personally, I do have a prenuptial agreement.
Yeah.
And it was one of those things when I was dating my partner. We dated for close to 8 years before we officially got married.
Yeah.
But it was one of those things that we discussed. We said, look, when we get married, we're going to have this thing, and it's going to be not only to protect both of us from a situation if one is taking loans and so on, but also in case things happen, because at the end of the day, it is life. You grow old together. Maybe your tastes might change. And one of the things that we actually found was there was this lawyer, I just forget his name, who was sharing his experiences in the divorces and putting together prenuptial agreements. And what he found is that with him and his colleagues, majority of the people that actually have prenuptial agreements are less likely to get divorced. And the whole premise around it focused on the fact that you're able to have the conversations that you need to have in order to have a prenuptial agreement. Makes it more likely that you're able to have those conversations in a marriage. Because a marriage, at the end of the day, is a partnership, and it is a contract, which people don't actually discuss quite a bit. It's a contract. You are marrying this person, and they're becoming one of you. So at the end of the day, because it is a contract, you need to at some level treat it as though there's a legal concept or an element in it that needs to be discussed between two mature people.
Yeah. David and Bram, thank you for your call. It's 10 minutes before 10.
702 delivers
on the matters that matter to you.
This is Businkosi from Alberton. 702 is a very informative station for me. It sets trends I pick up a lot, in terms of lifestyle. Saturdays mornings are very good to me. The morning drives to work, morning drives back from work, the midday the reports, and above all, whatever I miss out on, I can catch up on the podcast.
Thank you for sharing your thoughts.
So we can deliver more on what matters to you.
702 listens.
Let's walk the talk.
Dive into a season of coziness with 20% of Granny Goose duck down duvets from At Home. For a limited time, shop this dream offer in Granny Goose and At Home stores or online at bash.com and get ready for a season of snuggling in, exclusive to TFG Rewards members. T's and C's apply. At Home, imagine more.
So, how did it go?
Oh, just perfect. The drive, so comfortable. The panoramic sunroof, my highlight.
But what about the date?
It was nice, but the Jolian Pro, next level.
Sometimes the drive is the best part. The Haval Jolian Pro from 4,299 per month. Visit gwm.coza for T's and C's and book a test drive. Go with more. Go with GWM.
Invest in peace of mind with the water tank from Cash Build. Store water for your garden, your home, your family, and save every drop. We have tanks of all sizes built to last so you can have water on demand. Plus, Cash Build offers free local delivery. Get your water tank at Cash Build today and start saving. Cash Build, quality building materials, tools, paint, and hardware at the lowest prices.
Cash Build. Quiet, please.
The Wimbledon experience in Mzansi is back at Amex Tennis Town Monte Casino between 11 and 13 July 2025. Enjoy VIP hospitality, the ultimate big screen experience, and more than just strawberries and cream. Buy your tickets now using your Amex card on Howler and get 50% off on limited tickets. Amex Tennis Town, the Championships Wimbledon experience with the Mzansi advantage. Tennis is better with Amex.
Your voice.
Your station.
Your open line.
Walk the talk with Clement Manyathela
on 702.
8 minutes before 10 o'clock. Let's continue with your WhatsApp voice note.
Hi, Clement. So I think the challenge with anti-nuptial is that people need to understand that it talks to the dissolution of a marriage either on death or divorce. So, the gentleman that called in just now that was talking about how can you even go into marriage thinking that you'll get divorced? It's not necessarily for divorce purposes. It's if one of the spouses die, what must happen with the estate, what must happen with the money. It's also to protect your partner. If you have shares in companies, if you, there's liability issues, and if you have your own business and your business goes belly up, that they can't come after your partner. So it's really not just for divorce. It's also to protect your spouse for numerous other reasons. Thanks, James, Pretoria.
Clement, marrying out of community is the best thing that has ever happened to humankind. I was in the same situation. I am married out of community. My husband was in death. I remember the sheriff of the court came to attach things, but I proved that most of the stuff in the house were mine and they couldn't do anything. And our ladies, they think that if you marry out of community, then the guy doesn't love you. No. Out of community is the way.
Good day, Clement. This is Busani. I think we are complicating this in terms of the way we think and maybe the way we've been raised up. Now think about this. When we get into a car, we all put on a safety belt. We do this without even thinking twice about it, because we know there is a chance of us getting into an accident. And if that accident actually happens, we would like our chances of survival to be higher than the opposite of that. Thank you.
Clement, hey, Joel Hatsibimutu. A person can change any time. Nobody gets married to be divorced, but things happen. He must never think he's a Superman. Aye, aye, aye. None of us, nobody wants to get divorced, but it happens. So never tell people, if you believe that thought comes to mind that one day something's going to happen, don't get married. No. People outgrow each other. That's what they say. But from my personal experience, people do change. So you must always leave a gap while you pray and believe that you got married for life until death do you part. That's what we all want. That's what we strive for, and we shall continue. But there's always a possibility the person will leave. God bless you, King Peter.
Good morning, Clement. My whole stance about the prenup is, if you're not going to share everything that you have, your money, yourself, your assets, then why get married? Just stay dating, just be each other's plus one forever.
Hi, Clement. Getting married out of community of property, for me, has got nothing to do with whether you love each other that much or you foresee yourself in future being divorced. For me, it's the protection of the assets against creditors in the event of one partner falling into debt zone.
I
So
see.
if one partner falls into financial troubles, then if you are married in community of property, unfortunately, that's the end of it.
Mm.
But if you've got out of community of property, whether with or without accrual, then it's a shield for something for the family, so that one partner can keep the family going while the other is still sorting out his financial problems. For me, that's the key. It's got nothing to do whether if I love you that much, I see myself dying with you and all those kind of things. It's just asset protection. Thank you.
And I think that's fair. That's a fair explanation, no? Strategic. Just makes sense to me.
Hollywood Bets is bringing you a bounty of prizes with Spina Zonke prize drops. Gear up to unravel an endless supply of treasures and claim fantastic riches with a chance to win an amazing share of 2.5 million rand in cash and prizes. All you have to do is bet 2 rand or more on selected pragmatic play games on Mondays, Tuesdays and Thursdays between 12:30 p.m. and 10:30 p.m. Feel the ultimate thrill when you log in for a spin and bet now.
T's and C's apply. Hollywood Sportsbook is a licensed betting operator. Hollywood Bet supports responsible gambling. No persons under the age of 18 years are permitted to gamble. Winners know when to stop. South African Responsible Gambling Foundation toll-free counselling line 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp help to 076 675 0710.
Step outside of the everyday and into a dream. South African Airways flies direct to Perth 5 times a week, opening the gateway to all that Western Australia has to offer, from sun-drenched beaches and ancient landscapes to world-class wine and wildlife. Western Australia is ready to amaze. Book your flight to Perth now at flysaa.com or contact your travel agent today. SAA is ready to take you where wonder lives.
Peter's Plumbing fixes pipes, leaks and blockages for good South Africans. But one job made Tugela Falls look like a garden sprinkler. The toilet flushed, water gushed, his client crashed. But Peter had budget insurance public liability cover. Everything was sorted before his business went down the drain. Get 1 million rand cover from just 250 rand a month. Visit budgetinsurance.co.za today for public liability insurance. Budget is a licensed non-life insurer and FSP. T's and C's online. Premiums are risk profile dependent and subject to annual review.
Your voice,
Your station.
your open line
Walk the talk with Clement Manyathela.
on 702.
All right, it's going up to 10 o'clock. Remember, coming up after the news, it's the Hanging Out feature. And today I'm excited to be hanging out with retired soccer player Siboniso Gaxa. What do you remember the most about his time when he was still active and playing? We're going to get to know him better between 10 and 11 o'clock. It's 10 o'clock.
This is EWN.
Good morning, I'm Siboniso Gaxa. Search and rescue crews are anticipating working under difficult conditions today due to a cold front that's landed in the Eastern Cape. An operation is ongoing for missing people for more than 2 weeks after floods ravaged many areas. At least 100 people have died in the province so far. Mongezi Koko has more from Tata.
Divers, paramedics and disaster teams say they've been tested not just by the terrain, but what they've had to pull from the water. Some crew members admit that this has been the most traumatic deployment of their careers, with children among the dead, families watching from hilltops, and survivors haunted by the ones who didn't make it. Siseko Mkakuvana, a volunteer for Gift of the Givers rescue team, describes the harsh conditions underwater.
Obstacles that we find, some are very dangerous. That is why as rescue practitioners we have to wear the gloves as we are working there, because as we are moving, there's a lot of things that we have to move away and search if there's no body that you may leave behind.
As conditions deteriorate, officials say crews will press on, though the search is no longer one of rescue but of closure. Mongezi Koko, Eyewitness News, Mthatha.
In the Western Cape, Gift of the Givers is initiating full-scale humanitarian operations in some parts of Cape Town after an intense cold front. The group says the first appeals for help were received from Luandle and Nomzamo, where close to 1,000 people are affected by localized flooding. The organization's Ali Sablé.
Request has also been coming in from major informal settlements around the Western Cape, including Kalicha, Guguletu, Philippi, Chris Nissen Park, Makassar and Yanga. Our teams will be assisting flood victims with hot meals, blankets, warm clothing, clean drinking water, personal hygiene care item packs.
The MK party says it's ready to fire on all cylinders after finally filling its full complement of seats in the National Assembly. 9 new MPs were sworn in yesterday to take up seats left by members who were fired by the party last year. Parliamentary leader John Lopez says the new MPs bring with them a wealth of experience to bolster the opposition benches. Lindsay Dentlinker reports.
A year since the national election, the official opposition has finally been able to replenish its candidate list for vacancies in Parliament. Parliamentary leader John Lopez says with all 58 members now in the National Assembly, there can be no excuses for poor performance.
Some of them were councillors that were involved in local government issues. Others were involved in organizational issues, union work. It's a wide range of experience, and others have the media background.
Asked why the party's former Secretary General, Floyd Shivambu, is not among the new members as previously announced by the party, Shlope had this to say.
The list that is here, that was given to the Chief Whip, is the list that was compiled and approved by the national officials. That's all I can say.
Chief Whip Colleen Makubele says the new members will strengthen the MK party's contribution in parliamentary committees to which they will soon be assigned. Lindsay Dentlinger, Eyewitness News, Parliament.
And a man in the US who was on death row in Mississippi for almost 50 years has been executed. Richard Gerald Jordan kidnapped and killed Edwina Mata, a stay-at-home mother who was married to a banker in a violent ransom scheme. The 79-year-old Vietnam War veteran died by lethal injection yesterday. Jordan was the longest-serving man on death row in Mississippi and had sued the state over its 3-drug execution protocol, arguing it was inhumane. Gold is trading at $3,338.86 an ounce. The rand is at 17.65 to the dollar, 24.21 to the pound, 20.64 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $67.90 a barrel.
And in the traffic, we've got delays on the N1 North. That's in the Renpark Ridge area. Roadworks are taking place along this road right near Bewes Nodia Drive, and they're causing delays. So if you're heading towards Cresta Shopping Centre, these delays will also affect you because Bewes Nodia Drive in itself is heavily backed up. If you are travelling on the M2 east towards Germiston, do expect delays between Heidelberg Road and Reuven Road. There's also some issues reported along the R21 North heading towards Tembisa. That's due to roadworks that are taking place along this route. Be on the lookout.
A fine day in store for Gauteng. The temperatures will peak at highs between 20 and 21 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour. Search and rescue crews are anticipating working under difficult conditions today due to a cold front that's landed in the Eastern Cape.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
What are the matters that matter to you?
702 Listens
You're with Clement Manyathela.
on 702.
Let's walk the talk. Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856.
92.7 and 106 FM.
Six minutes after 10 o'clock, Dumelang. Welcome to the second hour of the Clement Manyathela Show. Thank you for staying with us here on 702. And thank you for your calls. Thank you for also your advice, right? I think you get a sense that when people go for ANC, in as far as their marriage is concerned, there are other considerations that they make. So it's not so much about, should the proverbial ish hits the fan. Sometimes it's just strategic. It's for asset protection. And I'm sure someone out there who's currently having that conversation with their partner is probably thinking, I've learned something today. So thank you for sharing your experiences with us. Remember, at 11 o'clock for our Thursday dialogue today, we're going to be focusing on 70 years of the Freedom Charter. 70 years since the adoption of the Freedom Charter. Where do we find ourselves? Have we fallen far short of the Freedom Charter? I'm interested in your own assessment. I know the PAC has come out to say that they have a problem with the clause in the Freedom Charter that says the land shall be shared among those who work it, arguing that this dilutes the principle of African ownership, and I'm hoping they can come and explain that further. But there have been so many successes, right? Make no mistake. I mean, at the very heart of the Freedom Charter is this concept of democracy. And we have a functioning democracy. We've had elections, many of them that are being run professionally by an independent institution like the IEC. So there's a lot that has gone well, but there's also some ideas of the Freedom Charter that we're still far from realizing. So that's a conversation we're going to have at 11 o'clock. But right now, we start with our Hanging Out feature.
Hanging Out with Clement
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
And on our Hanging Out feature today, we are hanging out with Siboniso Gaxa. As I said to you earlier, he is a retired soccer player. He's an aspiring lawyer as well, something we'll get into. And we're going to get to know him better this hour. If you want to say something to him, if you've got a question for him, you want to celebrate him, you're welcome to join this conversation. You can call on 011-883-0702 or send us a WhatsApp voice note on 072-702-1702. Siboniso, welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm good, sir. How are you doing?
I'm good. You're so calm. I like that. Like, I'm like crazy and you calm me down. Are you well?
No, always well.
Thank you for coming through. When you walked in, I mean, I was like, you do look like an aspiring lawyer. Like how you're dressed. And I wonder how you navigate. Have you always been like a formal person in terms of your dress code? And when you were a soccer player, how did you navigate that if you've always liked looking formal?
No, not really. Not really. I think, when I was young, I was like any other township boy.
Yeah.
So this is now the profession that requires you to dress in a certain way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And we'll talk about how you've made that transition, because I really find your story so fascinating. But let's go back to the beginning. Have you always wanted to be a soccer player? And when at what point did you think, I'm actually good at this? Or your family thought, he's actually good at this. Maybe we need to start thinking about him playing professionally.
I think football in general, when you when you are born in a township, all boys play football on the streets, So, I grew up like that. And then I was fortunate enough that there were a number of clubs, in KwaMashu that you can go and play for. So I took that opportunity. And then obviously, fast forward, I realized that when you played against other clubs, around the township or in the Durban region, I then, decided, okay, this I can take it seriously. And lucky enough, and things just went well for me.
Yeah. And did you have a difficult chat with the elders at home when, because obviously, like especially in black households, they want us to be teachers, lawyers. Many of us are maybe the first or second generation to even go to school. So when you say, I'm just going to play soccer, that's like, really?
To your surprise, it's that no one knew that I was like playing football. They will only find out when I get home. I'm like, no, I'm from training.
Yeah.
And sadly, no one really, I never had any supporting structure within the family. So it was always about me and the friends, just pursuing our football dreams and to become professional footballers. So until I became a professional football player, this is when my family realized that, oh, this guy...
He's good.
Yeah, that is a professional. How did he make it? Not even one person has ever bought me soccer boots.
Oh my goodness. So who supported you then? Because I get the point about friends, but did you have like a mentor? Was there a coach that looked after you?
I think mostly with coaches,
That's amazing,
coaches from the township that really love football.
Yeah.
So those were the people that pushed us and pushed us to win matches. And then, lucky enough, some of us had other opportunities somewhere else to pursue this thing seriously.
Yeah. You were nicknamed Pa from...
That's another mistake. That's not my nickname.
You were not?
That's my name. That's my other name.
So it's actually your real name?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it is.
So what does that mean?
You figure it out. You find that yourself. Growing up, but it's a name that I ended up putting it on my ID when I realized that, okay, now I'm known as Pa, but this is a name that I was given at an early age. So I had these leadership skills, if I should say, or people saw me as someone that has some leadership skills within him, So they call me Pa. So Pa means, it comes from Afrikaans, which is dad, father. Yeah.
Dad, father. That's fascinating. And you decided to put it on your ID?
Because I see myself as Pa.
Yeah.
I've always seen myself as Pa.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that's fascinating. I want to put, because some listeners call me Madimeja.
Madimeja.
Yeah, okay. And I want to put it on my ID. So I'm gonna start the process of putting that on my ID actually, because I really love the name. I don't know how many people I meet out there who don't come to me and say Clement, and they say, hey, Madimeja.
Sure.
So I'm just going to officialize it. Okay, we're going to get to know you this hour. We still have a lot to talk about, but we also want to play some of your favorite songs. And I know Lebo Matosa, Free, is one of your songs.
Yeah.
Tell me about it. Why is it so special to you?
Like I said, I grew up in a community, especially the township of KwaMashu, where elders were our parents, regardless if they are your biological parents or not. So, and I was lucky enough that I was accepted by any neighbor that I go to, because I used to work as well while I was like at an early age in townships. In tech shops and yeah. So I was trying, I wanted to survive, man. Like I said earlier, there was no supporting structure at home, so I went out to find ways to survive. So I think Kwaito music for me was also one of my, should I say, where I find peace.
Yeah.
Where my spiritual being has been invoked, through the words, through the music itself, through, because I used to dance as well as a child.
Dance?
Yeah.
Dance to what?
Yeah, I used to, in a group.
Really?
Yeah.
Are you a good dancer?
Of course. I'm African, my guy.
I mean, I'm African. Some people claim I can't dance.
Okay, they claim, you see.
They claim, yeah, but I think
Yeah.
I can. Okay, so what was the circumstance like at home? Because, I mean, for you to go out, I mean, how old were you when you started working to survive?
Maybe like 6, 7, 8.
Was it for your own survival? Was it trying to take care of back at home as well?
So, I mean, my story is quite different. So, I mean, my mom left me early when I was really young. I think I was like 6. And she moved out of my granny's house. So I stayed with my granny. I stayed behind.
Yeah.
And my granny was a domestic worker. So granny used to go and work, and sometimes she wouldn't come back home. So then I would be left alone at that early age, early stages of my life. So I then learned how to survive at that age.
Wow.
So I started working in my tech shop. And then I started, going to neighbors' houses. Sometimes I would sleep there, and just to try and find ways how to survive.
Sure.
So it was a bit challenging, but I was a child, so it was difficult to understand these things.
Well, you're a bar from a very young age. Yeah, but man, you've really done well. I mean, for someone with a background like that to be at a point where you've managed with no support at all to be a successful professional football player, and for you to have gone to study further at the point that you are, I hope you're really proud of yourself. I hope you know that you've done really well.
It's difficult for me to judge or to say, because I don't want to feel like yeah, you're right, I should be proud of myself. But I know that there's a lot that I still want to do. So I'm not even halfway where I want to be in life.
Yeah.
Because there's so many people that really sacrificed their lives to make sure that I survive.
Yeah.
So I think for me, I always question, why am I here? Then I figure that I'm here to serve people, because they did, played a significant role to make sure that I survive and I'm the person who I am today.
Oh, man, that's amazing. That's amazing. All right, here's Lebo Matosa, one of Pa's favorite songs.
Bonjour, Tamwa. Morning to my fellow listeners, your guests, and your team, Clemwa. Well, I started to pay close attention to Pa when they were still training at Technicon Pretoria, now known as TUT, when he was still playing for SuperSport. And yeah, that was the time. Yeah, I used to love that team. I even went to buy a T-shirt and printed number 6, Gaxa at the back. They used to play suk football. He will tell you what suk football is. I would like to know from Pa, what was his preferred or his best position, because of he played center back, where he made headlines by marking the most dangerous or lethal striker in Besuma out of the game in Durban. I'll never forget. I think that was one of his best games ever. And then he was switched to right back, which he excelled. He really excelled. I'll listen on the radio, live and direct.
That's a serious fan there, hey? Okay, so suk football, and what was your preferred position?
I mean, thanks for the call and the great words. I mean, from the guy. Yeah, he's right, man. SuperSport, we played, I mean, good football. We had a good bunch of great players there, and we had the best coaches, which under Peter Musiman and the late Thomas Matichake. So, I mean, we were great. Stan Matthews at the time was the CEO of the club. We were unbelievable. I've always loved being a centre-back. I think also to be in the spotlight in South African football professionally was because of being a centre-back. But, I mean, I got the advice from Peter, especially getting closer to the World Cup, and he realized that chances of me being in the World Cup, being part of the World Cup, I mean, team, it's just going to be challenging if I'm a centre-back, because we had great centre-backs at the time. So it was like, okay, you have to convert into a full-back, because there are chances of you being selected on that position, Then the centre-back one. Centre-back was a bit difficult, as well as playing international football. It's very challenging when you are a bit smaller and playing against big guys. So he's the one really who convinced me otherwise. So I decided to then go to the right-hand side.
Right. It's 25 minutes after 10 o'clock.
Aubrey Masango.
Weekday evenings,
8 to midnight.
Dr. Kimberly Chappelle, Assistant Professor in the Department of Anatomical Sciences at Stony Brook University in New York. Were dinosaurs for real, or are they just fantasy and great entertainment?
They're absolutely real. In fact, South Africa has one of the most interesting dinosaur fossil records in the world. And very excited about the new Dinosaur Center in Golden Gate Highlands National Park. And now everyone can go and see dinosaurs for themselves. They're all very proudly South African dinosaurs too.
Aubrey Masango.
8 to midnight on 702.
702.
Nedbank Business Ignite on 702 is looking for a small business owner that talks a big game and delivers even bigger results. So if you're a small business that consistently dares to innovate, expand, and better your bottom line, you could walk away with 200,000 Rand cash and a 200,000 Rand advertising package. So enter on igniteyourbusiness.co.za. Then every day this week from 6 a.m., catch 702 Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa to find out if you're a finalist in the Nedbank Business Ignite on 702. T's and C's apply. Nedbank, an authorized FSP and registered credit provider.
Volksfest deals are back. Get a free upgrade to the Polo Vivo Life when you buy a new Polo Vivo and pay 0% deposit. Get more features at no extra cost. Buy it now and only pay 3 months later. Offer valid only through Volkswagen Financial Services. Looking for something sportier? The stylish T-Cross is yours from just 399,900 Rand. These Volksfest deals won't last. Visit your nearest dealer today or visit vw.co.za.
Welcome to the Chamberlain Hotline. Press 1 for heaters, 2 for expert DIY advice, 3 for deals hotter than your geyser.
Or press 4 for all the above when you visit your nearest Chamberlain for our famous for warming your homes promotion.
Get everything you need to make winter warmer from the 19th of June to the 6th of July, plus 10% off Chamber Value paint mixing and a free hot chocolate while you wait. Chamberlain, famous for hardware since 1903.
All around the country, South Africans are gearing up for game day, and no game day is complete without awesome match day snacks and an epic braai. Just like always, you can count on Checkers to bring you all the braai essentials you need. So get down to your nearest Checkers for awesome butchery deals with their superior taste. Think juicy lamb, beef steaks, and everything in between. We've got South Africa's boerewors and South Africa's favorite sport championship thick and thin boerewors for 109 rand per kilo. Simba potato chips for 3 for 48 rand. You save 15 rand. Casa Light beer, a 2-pack for 150 rand. You're saving 40 rand. Half lamb for 119 rand 99 per kilo. Knox sparkling hydration drinks, any 2 for 28 rand. And KWV 5-year-old brandy for 194 rand. Get ready to bring the G's and light and the fire this game day with Checkers.
Hanging out with Clement
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
29 minutes after 10 o'clock.
Hi, Clement. One thing I remember about Siboniso Gaxa was that at the peak of Colin Mbesuma's career, who was one of the top strikers that we had in the country, imported from Zambia, he was asked who is the best defender that he's ever faced, and at his peak, he said it was Siboniso Gaxa, when we all thought it was Chabalala from Pirates, who was also very tough and a no-nonsense defender. But Siboniso came out tops, even though he was not aggressive in his attack. He was just brilliant. I remember that guy very well, and all the best to him. This is D from St.
Hi, good morning. Siboniso Gaxa is an example to many future and past soccer players. I still remember when he was still new at SuperSport, he was asked and he said, Kulusibia taught him how to save money, even helped him to build, to make a plan to build a house for his family. So the boy's real disciplined. It was even before he went to school, seriously. So I think soccer and other sports players should just look at this boy up and see why he did this. It's one thing, discipline. Good boy. Sisi here, Soweto.
Good boy. 10:30, time for the latest in Eyewitness News headlines. We're going to continue this conversation with Siboniso Gaxa after the headlines. Fiso, hi.
Thanks, Clement. Good morning. The DA in Tshwane acknowledges it doesn't have the numbers for its motion of no confidence in Council Speaker Mncedi Mzwanana to pass, but says it will support or still go ahead with it. The party wants the ATM councillor removed, accusing him of lacking impartiality. Council is debating the motion and will vote on it today. Search and rescue crews are anticipating working under difficult conditions today due to a cold front that's landed in the Eastern Cape. An operation is ongoing for missing people more than 2 weeks after floods ravaged the province. At least 100 people have died so far. And the U.S. Embassy in South Africa says people applying for non-immigrant visas for educational purposes should adjust their privacy settings on social media to public with immediate effect. The embassy says this vetting is necessary to establish applicants' identity and admissibility to America. Recently, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio ordered embassies worldwide to stop scheduling student visa interviews as Washington weighed stricter guidelines regarding social media. And those are the headlines. This EWN and more at 11 or as it happens.
EWN Traffic.
Well, I'm going to start off in the city of Tshwane with some delays on the N1 South. That's due to roadworks taking place after the Proof Plus interchange. There's also queuing traffic along the N14 north towards Euphues Road. This is due to a major accident scene and it's causing delays on both sides of the road. So please be on the lookout there and drive with care. If you are traveling on the N1 South towards Midrand, we actually have got roadworks taking place right near New Road. Delays coming out of Olifantsfontein Road. There's also roadworks taking place in Tembisa along the R21 South, and they're causing delays coming out of Olifantsfontein Road. And traveling in the City Deep, we've got some issues reported on the M2 East. This is between Heidelberg Road and Reuven Road. There's also some issues reported along the N1 North. This is in the Randpark Ridge area. Roadworks are taking place there right near the Beyersnodie Drive off-ramp, and they are causing delays. Please be on the lookout and drive with care. I'll have more updates for you at the top of the hour.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Hanging out with Clement
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
10:33. We are hanging out with Siboniso Gaxa, a retired soccer player, on our hanging out feature this morning. And I'm taking your calls. I'll continue to take those voice notes as well on 072 702 1702. I'll come to them in a moment. Siboniso, you have played for several top clubs, locally, abroad as well. What would you say what was the highlight of your career?
Yeah.
What do you consider the most fulfilling chapter of your career? And I know it's an unfair question.
No, it is. It is indeed. Old clubs were brilliant. Old clubs were brilliant. And most probably maybe the last one wasn't that great. But everyone else.
Can we tell them what the last one was?
That was Ajax.
Ajax, okay.
Yeah.
But Kaizer Chiefs, after Kaizer Chiefs, it was Wits, Bidvest, and that Ajax.
Ajax, yeah. I think all clubs were brilliant. I think SuperSport gave me an opportunity, and they became for me that was a family to me. And leaving them, it was the hardest decision that I had to make. And joining Mamelodi Sundowns, oh man. The president at that time, President Petrus Motsepe, was unbelievable. I think this is at his early stages of what he wanted to do. What was his ambition? What was his goal? And now we can see.
You can see.
Yeah. But I was part of the players or the players that were involved at the beginning. At the early stages, it was unbelievable. But every club that I've played for, but Chiefs. But Chiefs, it's something else.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you play for Chiefs, you remain Chiefs for the rest of your life.
Are you still a Chiefs supporter?
I watch Kaizer Chiefs matches. I want them to do well. They're a big brand. They're a big club. And I wish
to be recovering. Sort of.
They won a cup, but it's good for them. At the same time, they're a big club, man. You can't just disregard such history.
What do you think is wrong there? Because I'm struggling to figure out.
I think it's a transition in the managerial space, and now it's starting to shape who's going where, who's what, who's and these things sometimes takes time when a certain individual start a club and then he maintained the club for years, for over 50 years. And then a new member must then take that position. It's not an easy transition, but I think Junior has shown his credibility, and I think that he has learned from his past mistakes, because he has made mistakes, but I think he has learned from those mistakes. And the victory of the Nedbank Cup, it's just to show that he's moving now the right direction.
Yeah.
I just heard that they're going to Holland for pre-season. That's good.
That's great. Do you have a team that you support though?
In South Africa? No, I support. I follow all the clubs. When I see something good, I speak about it. In Durban now we've got 4 clubs. In KZN we've got 4 clubs in the Premiership. That's amazing.
That's incredible. When you went to Belgium, was it difficult? Was it lonely? And how long were you there for?
Okay, I'll start with the last question. I was there for 2 years. Obviously there were challenges which I won't mention them, but there were a few challenges. But I think another thing is that I went late. You know, I was 26 when I went overseas. But I'm not using it as an excuse to only spend 2 years. It was a great experience. I learned a lot, you know, and it's one of the things that actually I think I needed that to understand where I'm going with my life in general, you know, because now I've got relations with some of these guys that side, and I'm hoping that I'm going to expand because there are a few things that I want to do. But Belgium was great. You know, there's another city called Brussels. When you go to Brussels, it feels like it's Congo. You know, there are a lot of African people, so it feels like, I mean, Belgium. It's amazing to be in Belgium. I stayed in the Flemish side of, you know, of people that speaks Flemish. On the other side, they speak French, and they don't get along in one country. You know, when I was there was a point when there was no government.
Jeez,
because there was internal issues within the government. So it was amazing, but I mean, I was more on the side of the French people because, you know, French.
Did you learn any French?
Nah, maybe bonjour, it ends there.
Okay. You were part of, obviously, like the squad during the historic 2010 FIFA World Cup on home soil. What did it mean? I mean, as fans, watching that was quite historic for us, but I'm sure there was so much pressure on you guys as players as well. And I just wonder how you guys deal with that, because I would just faint knowing that there are millions of people watching whose hopes, literally, they are relying on us to perform here. How was you being part of that experience? And what did it mean to also wear that Bafana jersey?
No, I mean, it was unbelievable. It was being selected. That's a starting point. Being part of that club, I mean, part of the team, for me was one of my highest achievements, you know, in life. And also playing in an African soil, and for me that was great. Playing in South Africa, it was amazing. The support, and obviously there were doubts, you know, obviously from the European side about an African country hosting such an event. But, you know, we put it all together, and it was great. It was amazing. It was disappointing at the same time for the team not going through to the second round, you know, to fall short because of goal difference. But just being in the team was one of the most, it was amazing, man. You know, sometimes it's difficult to explain these things because it's just the feeling. You know, you're dealing with the feeling, you're dealing with your inner part. So to explain it in words, you know, to make this, it's just difficult. But it was one of the most amazing experiences that I can ever, I mean, I don't know if I can ever achieve something closer to that. Because for me, that was one of the biggest event ever, you know, that I've been part of. So it was amazing.
It's 20 minutes before 11 o'clock. We'll come back with your calls and WhatsApps.
Nix Maapa. We say that when something's too delicious to share, but at Pesto Princess, sharing is delicious. When you buy a 600-gram Pesto Princess soup at Spar, you'll get up to 10 Rand off this month, and we'll donate a meal to a child in need. With over 850,000 Rand in meals already donated through our partnership with Ladles of Love, we're aiming for 1 million Rand in donations this winter with your support. So go on, nourish, comfort and delight with Pesto Princess this June, only at Spa.
It's that time of the year, and this winter is gearing up to be colder than ever. Don't stress. Take a Lot is getting you all cozied up with savings of up to 45% off winter home essentials. From the kitchen to your bedroom and all around home improvements, you can get it all online and delivered for free on the same day with Take a Lot More. Download the Take a Lot app to get everything you need this winter.
To walk the talk is to turn words into meaningful actions. And it's what we at 702 are committed to doing every day. We are also committed to following the rules set out by the Broadcasting Complaints Commission's Code of Conduct. To give you balanced programming, fair comments, and accurate news. But if we stumble along the way and you feel we are not living up to the code, let us know on comment@702.co.za. And if after that you're still not happy, you can direct your complaint in writing to the Broadcasting Complaints Commission. Email bccsa@nabsa.co.za. For more, visit bccsa.co.za.
The Money Show.
Weekday evenings at 6.
Back in 2014, we didn't really import any oil from the US at all. Why have we suddenly started to buy so much from the US?
Because there is surplus for the crude oil to ship to other countries like ourselves. If you look at 2014, that was the time of the sanctions on Iran, because at one stage Iran was like one of the biggest supplier of oil to South Africa, but that has completely dried out.
The Money Show
on 702. Let's walk the talk.
The Money Show with Stephen Curtis is brought to you by ABSA CIB. ABSA is a proud lead sponsor of B20 South Africa 2025. ABSA is a registered FSP. Your story matters. 702, let's walk the talk.
Hanging out with Clement
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
17 minutes before 11 o'clock.
Good morning, Clement. Good morning to Siboniso Gaxa. Goodness, I always loved him. I remember when I was playing for Sundowns, I was still in primary school, I was in the village, and we would watch him on TV. And then we even named one of the boys from a village who was playing for our local team there for Young Chiefs, Siboniso Gaxa, because he was defending. His defense was unmatched. Thank you so much for to him for offering his talent and for offering himself to us as Africans. And I can't wait to hear what he's about to do with the law. So fascinating. Thank you.
Hey, Clement. I think finally it makes sense why the Siboniso Pa Gaxa. Because I always thought it's Pa, not Pa. Pa isn't something best. But because you know football's nicknames, you don't necessarily follow them up as to where does it come from and all that. So I thought it's Siboniso Pa Gaxa. Kanti is Pa. Now it makes sense. What a football player. Appreciate him a lot and the contribution he made in a soccer fraternity in our country. All the best. Tabang here. Bye.
Thank you so much for the WhatsApp voice notes. So Kabelo Mabalane, is that one of your favorite artists?
Yeah, he's always been, man.
Yeah.
He's great. You know what, when he used to sing quiet.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, he was unbelievable. I mean, a number of them, but he used to invoke something in me. And I started believing in myself. And these are the small things, small details that changes someone's ideas or inspirations and ambitions and I mean I'm a child of Kwaito and I was raised by Kwaito from a distance, from the radio, and these people changed my life because Mabati Kuzolunga, I knew Kuzolunga.
You believe them. Yeah. Well, here's Kabelo Mabalane. Tubula, tubula, tubula.
Morning, Clement. Yeah, you've got quite a well-cool guy there. I've watched these games quite a lot. He was quite a good defender, and I like it. But I think what we should gain from him is his experience in terms of how he managed this transition from football to being a normal person, a life after football. And I think he should use that experience and go around in clubs, mentor all these people. And that would be a good, great business idea for him also. He goes and coaches them how people to prepare the aftermath of football. Ivan Rudiport.
Yeah, thank you, Ivan. I'll get him to respond to that after the break. It's 10 minutes before 11.
We are woven into the same soil that shapes South Africa. Its dreams, its energy, its promise. These guide us. Together, we've built progress hand in hand, from the mines to bustling main streets, from one generation to the next. With communities, government, and partners, every initiative from healthcare to education, youth empowerment to entrepreneurship lights the way forward. Because we don't just mine minerals, we mine possibility and progress with purpose. Together, we're shaping what's next, mining potential, building beyond. Anglo-American.
Need the right tools to run your small business? With Nedbank, you get the latest Visa, MasterCard, and Amex accepting card payment device delivered to you within 48 hours. Enjoy getting your payments straight into your Nedbank account on the same day. Plus, you could get 100% back on the purchase price of the device. Apply on the Nedbank Money app today. Join the bank that's best for your small business. Nedbank, licensed financial services and registered credit provider.
Ready to make the most out of your moves? Like that getting things done on the go move. Try this new MTN app. That overseas trip made it out of the group chat move. This new MTN app. That you hang up. No, you hang up move. This new MTN app. Today we make that move, and that move. This app. Today we make moves with this new MTN app. Download it now. T's and C's apply. MTN. SA's best network.
As the official retail partner of the Springboks, Pick n Pay ASAP is proud to bring the pride of the nation to you and give you the chance to be the ultimate smart supporter. Money or the box on 702. WhatsApp your name, ID number, and the word ASAP to 072 702 1702. You could face the ultimate choice, a mystery Springbok supporter prize, or Pick n Pay ASAP vouchers worth up to 2,000 Rand. It's time to show your box spirit. Money or the box with Pick n Pay ASAP. Friday on 702 Drive with John Perlman. T's and C's on primemediaplus.com.
Hanging out with Clement
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
7 minutes before 11 o'clock, we're wrapping up our chat with Siboniso Gaxa, retired soccer player. Ivan sent us a voice note earlier. I wanted to know if you would be interested in maybe mentoring other soccer players. I mean, you are one person who's done the transition well. When you retired, you went and studied, you've graduated, you're still studying now. Are you doing any of that? Is there a plan to mentor some of them? Prepare them for the life after soccer?
Yeah. I mean, thanks to him for that question. I think it's a good question. I am, but I'm doing it informally. You know, I'll just speak to any player that I see, and then we can have a chat. But I haven't done it formally. It's not structured as yet. Obviously, it will be structured. I mean, in the near future, and this is something that I'll not do it, not on an individual basis, but have all the players collectively in one space.
Yeah.
We will have a dialogue and a discussion, and also try and open spaces where they can then be able to invest collectively, not individually. I think the biggest mistake that we make, we're focusing on individual and the reason for that is that we have not created a space where the players themselves, they can do these things collectively and structurally, you know. So it's my biggest vision is to create that structure so that players can be comfortable to contribute into something, knowing very well that later on they can then have their returns.
So you graduated at Vets. When did you graduate?
So my BA, which is first, I graduated around 2019, and then LLB was last year.
It was last year.
Yeah, 2024.
And then now you're going to be busy with your articles.
Correct.
Okay. What do you still want to achieve? What is it that Siboniso Gaxa still wants to achieve?
I think the first, what I've just said regarding structures. I think that's the people in the higher position have done an incredible job. Obviously, my impact is to now maybe let things be structured, especially financially, and also post players' careers, where they can then go back and say, okay, I've invested in this thing collectively as players. Then players can be paid back and then do other things, obviously, after football. I don't like this thing of doing things individually because there's Siboniso, there's Bongani Kumalo, but there's also, sorry to mention his name, Lerato Shabangu. We don't want that. We want to do things for everyone so that we structure this thing. Funny enough, while I was at Super Sports, I've attended some sort of like meetings within the rugby space. This is when I learned that these people, they do things collectively. It's not individually. It's not, I want to do my own thing. They do things individually, and these things are contractual. They are part of the whole profession. You can't come in and then change that. So these are the things I want to implement in the near future. But you can't implement these things if you're not in the structure itself. So one of the things that I'm going to contest some of these positions one day, so that I can then come in and say, okay, can we do things this way to benefit the same people that have literally worked so hard for this sport or for this for our soccer to be where it is
So
today.
you want to be part of SAFA at some point?
That's the not the ultimate, but that's one of my biggest
goals, because then it'll give birth to that thing you're planning. All right, let's wrap up with these WhatsApp voice notes.
Hi Clement, thank you for an excellent guest there. What a player, what a guy. His story is such an inspiration, and he must just keep up the good work and keep at it. A great inspiration for the youth and the current players that are around. As a fellow Durban boy, I always take so much pride when our Durbanites go out there and make things happen. Thanks, man. Ibrahim, Cape Town.
Hi, Clement. I just want to congratulate Siboniso Gaxa. It's so refreshing to see ex-footballers who are not falling into the niche of struggling in life after their careers. And I would like to urge him to please assist where he can, because he's got the expertise now. I know a lot of people are doing so, but I think there is still a gap for guidance and assistance to our pro footballers in the transition from pro football to the life afterwards. If he is, great, but if he isn't, I'd like to urge him to do so. Thank you.
Thank you for your WhatsApp voice notes. Siboniso, thank you so much, man, for coming through to hang out with us, and all the best with your articles and all the best with your future plans.
No, thanks guys for inviting me. And one thing that I wanted to mention, I just want to thank Jessica Mutaung. She's one of the few people that actually influenced me to go back to school. And she bought me books to read.
Wow.
She's amazing. So I want to thank her for that.
And look at you now. Thank you so much. And big ups to Jessica Mutaung. It's a minute now before 11.
Mr. Govender, congrats on the retirement. You just sold your car to We Buy Cars. Tell us about it.
Yes, it just gathered dust in the garage, so I exchanged it for cold hard cash. Now my wife and I can enjoy a stress-free retirement.
Retiring the car as you retire. Nice. So why We Buy Cars?
It was so quick. They came over to our house to do the evaluation, and we sold it the same day. Tops, man.
Okay, so now you got even more time on your hands, eh?
Exactly.
We Buy Cars. Geared for your next chapter. Geared for you.
It's that time of the year, and this winter is gearing up to be colder than ever. Don't stress, though. Take a Lot is getting you all cozied up with savings of up to 45% off winter home essentials, from the kitchen to your bedroom and all around home improvements. You can get it all online and delivered for free on the same day with Take a Lot and Take a Lot more. Download the Take a Lot app to get everything you need this winter.
Change arrives kicking and screaming. It's challenging, impatient, confusing. Change is a moment of peace. Change is life-affirming. Change is growth. Change is opportunity. We've always believed it's worth investing in. For over 3 decades, we have been committed to seeking out the best investment opportunities for you, wherever they may be. 91. Investing for a world of change. 91 is an authorized FSP.
This is EWN.
Good morning, I'm Siboniso Zulu. We begin in the capital, where the DA acknowledges it doesn't have the numbers for its motion of no confidence in Council Speaker Mncedi Nzwanana to pass, but says it will still go ahead with it. The party wants the ATM councillor removed, accusing him of lacking impartiality. Council is debating the motion and will vote on it today. Nzwanana was elected to the position with the support of the ANC-EFF coalition in Tshwane, which holds the majority in council. And despite the unfavorable numbers, DA Chief Whip Ofentse Matsebatela says something still needs to be done.
The Democratic Alliance brings this motion knowing very well that we do not have the numbers, but we are hoping that the consciousness of all democratically elected public reps will come to fruition, and all of us will be allowed to express the needed expressions of our constitution.
Search and rescue crews are anticipating working under difficult conditions today due to a cold front that's landed in the Eastern Cape. An operation is ongoing for missing people more than 2 weeks after floods ravaged many areas. At least 100 people have died in the province so far. Mongezi Koko has more from Tata.
Divers, paramedics and disaster teams say they've been tested not just by the terrain, but what they've had to pull from the water. Some crew members admit that this has been the most traumatic deployment of their careers, with children among the dead, families watching from hilltops, and survivors haunted by the ones who didn't make it. Siseko Mkakuvana, a volunteer for Gift of the Givers rescue team, describes the harsh conditions underwater.
Obstacles that we find, some are very dangerous. That is why, as rescue practitioners, we have to wear gloves as we are working there, because as we are moving, there's a lot of things that you have to move away and search if there's no body that you may leave behind.
As conditions deteriorate, officials say crews will press on, though the search is no longer one of rescue, but of closure. Mongezi Koko, Eyewitness News, Mthatha.
A recent study into cancer medication has revealed that some vital chemotherapy drugs flagged as faulty or even substandard have been used to treat the deadly illness in South Africa. The study has been conducted by the University of Notre Dame in collaboration with the Bureau of Investigative Journalism. It's revealed the questionable medication has been used on cancer patients in more than 100 countries. Khomotso Modise has more.
According to the report, some of the cancer drugs tested were used to treat cancers including leukemia and breast cancer in South Africa. It's emerged that more than 100 countries were found to have used the drugs either in hospitals or pharmacies. The Bureau for Investigative Journalism's Angela Milivojevic says some of the drugs used for chemotherapy were found to have too little active ingredients to treat any cancers.
They are basically useless. It's like drinking water. But some of them, which is even more dangerous, had so much toxicity in it that it might kill a patient.
But where are the medications coming from?
Our investigation shows that most of the manufacturers, companies that made this medicine are coming from India. And we know that India is known as the pharmacy of the world.
The report shows that a total of 850 packages of doxorubicin, which was found to have little active ingredients, and methotrexate, which was found to be too potent, were distributed in South Africa between 2018 and 2023. Khomotso Modise, Eyewitness News.
And the U.S. Embassy in South Africa says people applying for non-immigrant visas for educational purposes in America should adjust their privacy settings on social media to public with immediate effect. The embassy says this vetting is necessary to establish applicants' identity and admissibility to the U.S. Recently, Secretary of State Marco Rubio ordered embassies across the world to stop scheduling student visa interviews as Washington weighed stricter guidelines regarding social media. The policy tightens scrutiny of foreigners seeking to study in the U.S., in addition to a rigorous process that includes proving strong academic credentials, financial means, and intent to return home after graduation. Gold is trading at $3,338.86 an ounce. The rand is at 17.65 to the dollar, 24.21 to the pound, 20.64 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $67.90 a barrel.
And in the traffic, we've got roadworks along the N1 North approaching Bears Nodia Drive. Please be on the lookout there. They are causing delays already. And in the same area, we've got the faulty traffic lights right along Bears Nodia Drive at Judges Avenue, already causing some issues there. Please be on the lookout.
A fine day in store for Gauteng. The temperatures will peak at highs between 20 and 21 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour, the DA in Tshwane acknowledges it doesn't have the numbers for its motion of no confidence in the council speaker to pass, but it says it will still go ahead with it.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app. Walk through history, walk with it. Sunday, 27 July, 7:02 Walk the Talk. Hosted by Freedom Park in the city of Tshwane. More on primemediaplus.com.
You're with Clement Manyathela
on 702.
Let's Walk the Talk. Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856.
92.7 and 106 FM.
Seven minutes after 11 o'clock. Dumelang, welcome to the third and final hour of the Clement Manyathela show. News 24 has just broken a story about an expected cabinet reshuffle. So that's something we're watching very closely. I see Kumbuzo Nchaveni is addressing the media on the outcome of the cabinet meeting. Obviously, that's not going to be where the changes to cabinet are announced, but I'm sure one of the journalists will ask her a question about that. But News 24 is reporting that the president is expected to reshuffle his cabinet. He's expected to drop a DA deputy minister, and that is Andrew Whitfield, the deputy minister of Trade, Industry and Competition. Apparently, he is among those who have already received the presidential letter thanking them for their service, the service which has now been terminated. News 24 reports that it's understood that this reshuffle was triggered by the Higher Education and Training Minister, Nobuhle Nkabane's debacle over how she's handled this matter around SETAs. Oh my goodness, I hope the president does act against her, because what an embarrassing minister. What an embarrassment for the government, but for the president as well. So it looks like the president has heard the cries from even people like Professor Malachapuru Makgoba, who described Nkabane as a disgrace and an embarrassment. So I do hope that it is true that there will be a cabinet reshuffle. We cannot tolerate incompetence and people who are so arrogant and think that they're entitled to positions. You've got to act at some point. So that's a story we'll be watching very closely, should indeed the president maybe call a family meeting tonight. Who knows? Time now for our Thursday Dialogue.
The Dialogue with Clement Manyathela.
It's not just another roundtable discussion.
Let's Walk the Talk on 702.
On our Thursday Dialogue today, we're focusing on 70 years of the Freedom Charter. 70 years since the adoption of the Freedom Charter, has it achieved its ideals? Have we fallen far short of the Freedom Charter? Today marks 70 years since political formations from all racial groups, black, white, colored, and Indian, met for the Congress of the People in Kliptown in Soweto. And this is where the Freedom Charter was adopted as a blueprint for what a democratic South Africa would look like. I mean, there were 10 clauses, and they cover a variety of things. They cover human rights and dignity, equality before the law, access to land and wealth ownership, among others. And it was a precursor to the country's revered and respected constitution. So the question, though, that we're asking is, how have we fared? Has the Freedom Charter and its ideals been realized? And is it even possible for us to realize the ideals of the Freedom Charter when inequality in our society is still so entrenched? The ANC seems to believe that 8 of the 10 clauses of the Freedom Charter have been fully implemented, with only 2 on land redistribution and wealth ownership still a work in progress. And I wonder what my guests think about that. By the way, the ANC has been invited to join this conversation, and they promised that they were going to bring in someone who's going to join the chat, but they didn't bring us anyone. So let me introduce you to my guests this morning. We've got Advocate Dalim Mpofu, who is the MK Party's chairperson for the National Disciplinary Committee, joining us on the line. Advocate Mpofu, thank you for making time. Good morning.
Good morning, Clement. I don't know if you can hear me clearly.
Yes, much clearly. Thank you for joining us. We also have Sam Matiase, who is the EFF Member of Parliament and Central Command Team member. Sam, thank you so much for also joining us. Hi.
Hi, Clement, the only real Clement. Good morning to yourself. And,
thank you for your time.
Mpofu.
Yeah. Jackie Seroke as well is the PAC Secretary for Finance. Thanks for your time as well, Jackie. Hi.
Hi, thank you for having us on your show.
All right. Advocate, I'll start with you here. Is there a broad consensus that most of the objectives of this charter have been realized? The ANC seems to believe that at least 8 of these 10 clauses in the Freedom Charter have been achieved, and there's just 2 that's still work in progress.
No, absolutely not, Clement. That is a complete fabrication of the reality of the South African situation. The Freedom Charter it's debatable in the following sense. There are those people, probably like the people who think that it has been realized, who see it as the promised land. And then there are those of us who see it as a minimum set of demands, really as a basis from which to start on the path to the promised land, as it were. So the Freedom Charter clauses, none of them have been realized, Clement. All 10. I can say that without fear of contradiction. There might be a debate about the clause about formation of trade unions and so on. I think it's clause 7. But even that was not really delivered by the ANC. It was delivered by the apartheid government when it opened up the formation of trade unions in the late 70s. But the issue of full employment, which is in that clause, has not been realized. But all the other clauses, all of them have not been realized. The people shall govern. I mean, anyone who really thinks that it is the will of the people right now that governs us is living in a dreamland. All have equal rights? Certainly not. The economic clauses 3 and 4, which talk about the people shall share in the country's wealth, which shall be restored to the people, and the mineral wealth restored to the people, that means nationalization of those aspects, has not even been approximated. The land shall be shared among those who work it. I mean, everyone knows that doesn't happen. Equality before the law is not there. The enjoyment of human rights. The doors of learning and culture clearly not open. Houses, security and comfort, and those are the main clauses. of the Freedom Charter. I think the last one is about peace and friendship, which talks about the incorporation of Lesotho and Swaziland and all that. None of that, zero, has been achieved. Of course, there are aspects here and there that have been covered. But if you look at the Freedom Charter per se and its vision holistically, the score would be that in the last 31 years, none of those clauses have been achieved. But let me close by saying this, Clement. The biggest representation of the betrayal by the ANC of the Freedom Charter is in the so-called GNU deal that it did. Because, if you look at it from the eyes of the Freedom Charter, think of it like this, Clement. Here's an organization that says it believes in the Freedom Charter, and then it loses its majority. It has potential partners in the EFF, in MK, in the UDM, and I think the ATM, and parties like that believe in the Freedom Charter. So already there would have even been no need to do a kind of statement of intent. We already have a blueprint on which we agree. What does the ANC do? When that opportunity to achieve the Freedom Charter presents itself, it goes to anti-transformation and anti-Freedom Charter parties like the Freedom Front Plus and the DA. So that the so-called GNU represents the biggest betrayal of the Freedom Charter.
Okay, I'll come back to you on that because, the ANC would argue that we did open the door for other parties to come and work with us, and they were coming with all sorts of crazy demands, like the president of the ANC would have to go. But I'll give you a chance later, Advocate, to respond to that.
And that's a lie. It's a blue lie.
I'll come back to you. Let me hear from the EFF now. Sam, what is your assessment as the EFF when you look at this vision, this Freedom Charter? How have we fared?
We've fared terribly badly, Clement. I agree with Comrade Dali that none of the Freedom Charter clauses have been realized by the ANC. None whatsoever. In fact, it would be wrong to hope that the ANC would have tried to meet or realize these clauses. And you may ask, why am I saying that? You would know that even from the Christian community that believes so dearly to the 10 Commandments, that in a community where the priests or those who are at the forefront who advocates the proponents of the 10 Commandments do not live according to those commandments, such commandments cannot be adhered to, cannot be followed, and the followers of such a religion would have no respect, no trust whatsoever in the leadership of such a Christian community. The ANC has got no political will whatsoever to live up to what it says, to what it professes. The Freedom Charter ought to be implemented, and there's nothing that stops the ANC to implement that. But the ANC lacks the political will, it lacks the courage. It has got no cadres that can carry out such. They preach left and walk right. And no one can follow whosoever who preaches a liberatory philosophy or doctrine and practice the reversal or the reverse effects of such a doctrine. And that's the case of the ANC and the crisis that the ANC faces today. So, why was there Freedom Charter in the first place? It was a direct response to white minority rule. It was a response to segregation. It was a direct response to white monopoly of land, of mines, and the economy. And the structures of that which the Freedom Charter was formulated to respond to are still in place, intact, and no attempt whatsoever to dismantle such structure. What the ANC has done over the last 30 years is to lay their hands under false pretext that it has got a plan to transform such economic structure. And for 30 years, the ANC has been exposed and has got nothing else to cover its nakedness but a tiny leaf with which it tries to cover its nakedness. And this nakedness has been exposed, and that's why in the 2024 general election, the ANC was badly punished by South Africans because they can't take the lies anymore.
Jackie, as the PAC, let me get your thoughts as well, and then we'll take a quick ad break and come back to continue the chat.
Yes, the PAC approaches this matter from a different angle. We have a historical relationship with the launch of the Freedom Charter, and the PAC's objections were stated then. Briefly, the argument of the Africanists within Congress was that the Freedom Charter in 1955 came about to water down and neutralize the basic program that the African National Congress had agreed upon at a conference in Bloemfontein in 1949, when the program of action, a new line of approach in the struggle, was adopted. And that program of action basically said two things: that Africa is a black man's country, including South Africa. So, and it's an indivisible whole. So the second point was that it would not be wise to have leadership of the struggle conducted by other people other than those who come from the loins of the African people themselves. In other words, the African people were their own liberators.
Yeah.
These 2 points are not reflected in the Freedom Charter. That's one. The second thing was that the Freedom Charter itself was not it's not a document of the African National Congress per se. It's a document that was drafted by various other people at what is now called the Congress of the People. But at that Congress of the People, a document was presented and adopted. That document was not drafted by the African National Congress. So those debates went on within Congress until such time that leaders of the Africanists within Congress were shut out of a meeting at the Orlando Communal Hall in 1958, and the PAC was formed out of that. So we really do not see the Freedom Charter as a document that deals with the resolving the advent of colonialism.
Yeah.
It is not dealing with the issue of building a nation on the basis of the indigenous people being the one who lead that nation. And it's 10 points that have been raised. And I agree with the two comrades that those 10 points are not are like pie in the sky in terms of the reality of the world we live in now, because they bring nothing. So the Africanists took a different point and criticized the Freedom Charter up to date, and have now taken the view that we need to reset, as the term is being made popular.
Yeah.
Reset the agenda of the liberation movement, and come to terms with the reality that we have been divided, have been at each other's throat, and we need to work on a program of unity.
Yeah.
So the Freedom Charter on its own is not one of those solutions.
Absolutely. And the question is, how do we reset? Where do we even begin? I'll get my guests to respond to that after the break. It's 24 after 11.
John Perlman. Weekday afternoons,
3 to 6.
As you went about looking at what's been done, or more realistically, what hasn't been done, what explanation of authorities, either provincial, national or district officials, offered for why they haven't taken a step that they committed to taking?
So incidentally, the Department of Basic Education, the South African Council of Educators, various provincial departments of education, all committed to responding to the findings in this report, and none of them actually responded. There's been a lack of coordination between different government departments.
John Perlman.
3 to 6 on 702.
This game day, Checkers is bringing their fire. They've got South Africa's number one boerewors and South Africa's favorite steak. Plus, save extra on championship thick or thin boerewors for 109 Rand per kilo. Simba potato chips at 3 for 48 Rand. You save 15 Rand. There are also Knox sparkling hydration drinks, any two for 28 Rand. Light the fire, South Africa, and let Checkers do the rest.
Get ready, South Africa. The 129th Hollywood Bets Durban July gallops into Hollywood Bets Greyville Racecourse on Saturday, 5th July. It's more than a race. It's the heartbeat of Mzansi. This year's theme, Marvels of Mzansi, celebrates our rich culture, vibrant heritage, and breathtaking beauty. From thrilling horse racing to show-stopping fashion and powerful performances by Zolani Mahola, Lira, Mafigi Zolo, and more. Feel the pulse of a nation in celebration. Tickets are flying fast. Secure yours now at Ticket Pro. The Hollywood Bets Durban July, Africa's greatest horse racing and social event.
Hi, I'm Lewis Hamilton. Victory demands everything, but the journey is never solo. My team carves the way, data and innovation are my compass. This is how today's champions are made.
Drive your success and trade like a champion. CFI, a global leading broker now in South Africa. Access over 15,000 instruments, advanced trading tools, 24/7 support, and superior trading services. Visit cfi.trade today. CFI Financial is an authorized financial services provider.
CFI, empower yourself.
Some walks are just for exercise, others for leisure. But this walk is for something greater.
It's team building.
This July, you won't just take a step, you'll take a stand. You'll walk through history. You'll walk with it. On Sunday, 27 July, the 702 Walk the Talk, hosted by Freedom Park in the city of Tshwane, returns. It's a route that winds through the heart and soul of our capital city. From the sacred grounds of Freedom Park to the powerful steps of the Union buildings. Choose the 8-kilometer for those walking strong, the 6.7-kilometer in honor of Mandela Month, or the 4-kilometer for families and first-timers. Entries are 360 Rand for adults, 200 Rand for children under 12. Enter now on primemediaplus.com. 702 Walk the Talk, hosted by Freedom Park in the city of Tshwane, is where footsteps become footprints.
The Dialogue with Clement Manyathela.
It's not just another roundtable discussion.
Let's walk the talk on 702.
27 minutes after 11 o'clock. It's 70 years since the adoption of the Freedom Charter, and I'm asking if it's achieved its ideals. Have we fallen short of the Freedom Charter? And with all these high levels of inequality in our society, is it even possible for us to achieve most of the ideals of the Freedom Charter? You've heard what the position of the MK Party is, the EFF and the PAC. I'd like to hear from you as well. What do you think? 011-883-0702. WhatsApp's on 0727021702. Mlimandlela, you are calling us from Johannesburg. Good morning.
Good morning, Clement, and good morning to your guests there.
Sure.
You know, Clement, I think it's so unfortunate, and I must express a personal disappointment, particularly in Comrade Dali. You know, even the most manipulative and opportunistic of politicians must at least carry some moral integrity to be able to reflect on where we come from and as a country and a people. Firstly, I think it is totally incorrect to bastardize the Freedom Charter and make it out as if it's an ANC document. It was a Congress of the people of South Africa gathered under different banners to try and chart a way forward for South Africa. And hence the Freedom Charter never said the ANC shall govern. It said the people shall govern. And the people shall always carry that particular right to express themselves in a government of their choice and in who they believe best represents their aspirations at any particular time. And today, they have led the ANC to a 40% support in our country. But the point I'm making, to completely discount the progress that we have made as a country in realizing some of the ideals of the Freedom Charter, only from the premise that we seek to criticize and demonize the ANC for its own weaknesses in advancing our struggle and the liberation of our people, is totally incorrect and should not be acceptable. We must accept the progress that we have made. We must acknowledge what it is in the Freedom Charter that has been realized. And ultimately, we must then take the commitment that if we are true representatives of the people, whether we are MK, EFF, or ATM, or PAC,
but we must take a collective reflection as a country, especially those who reflect upon themselves as progressives, as to where we are in terms of advancing our struggle and taking our people forward. But to bastardize it as simply an ANC problem will be to reduce our struggle to the ANC and forget that our struggle was waged on many fronts even pre the establishment of the ANC, and that it must still exist even post the death of the ANC if it ever happens in future. Thanks, Clement.
Yeah. Lim, where do you think we've made where we've seen the successes? Because the ANC claims that at least 8 of the 10 clauses have been realized. I mean, yes, they say all national groups shall have equal rights. There are people that have rights. But I mean, when you look at the people should share in the country's wealth, are we there? The land shall be shared among those who work it. Are we there? There shall be work and security. All shall enjoy equal human rights. The door, have we really made progress as far as the ANC claims 8 out of the 10 are achieved?
Indeed, Clement, you are correct. There may be areas where those achievements have not reached where we should aspire to be as a country and a people. And we must be able to be critical as well that the ANC has been in power for the last 30 years and it has failed in some instances to guide us in a direction where we're able to realize some of the ideals as set out in the Freedom Charter. But to completely ignore the progress that has been made, even in some of those areas, is totally unacceptable, because then it seeks to undermine what black people in this country have achieved and what we are able to do as a people in our country currently in realization of what was stated in the Freedom Charter.
Okay.
ANC must take its criticism, and we must criticize it, because indeed it has had power for 30 years. There may be arguments that 30 years can never wipe out 300 years of colonialism and apartheid, etc. But in reality, more could have been done to ensure that black people in this country are empowered, they are affirmed, and that are in the center, whether you're talking about the economy, the land, socially. But those underachievements must not take away from the progress that we have made as a country.
All right. Mandlela, thank you so much for your call, calling us from Johannesburg. I'll get my guests to respond to him after the headlines. It's 11:32. Let's get the latest in Eyewitness News headlines. And Bali, hello.
Thanks, Clement. Good morning. The DA in Tshwane says it does not have the numbers for its motion of no confidence in Council Speaker Mncedi Nzwanana to pass, but it will still go ahead with it. The party wants the ATM councillor removed, accusing him of lacking impartiality. The council is debating the motion and it will be voting on it today. Heavy rain continues to wreak havoc in many parts of the Western Cape today, leaving thousands of residents destitute. Humanitarian aid workers and government officials are crisscrossing that province to assist the affected families. And some residents of Kliptown in Soweto, where the Freedom Charter was adopted, say government has fallen short of achieving the ideas contained in that document. Today marks exactly 70 years since political formations from all racial groups met at the Walter Sisulu Square for a Congress of the People and adopted the Freedom Charter. Those are the headlines, this EWN and more at midday or as it happens.
EWN Traffic.
This EWN Traffic is brought to you by cars.co.za. Let's find what moves you. Amo, how are we looking on the roads?
Well, we've got roadworks taking place on the N1 North. That's as you approach Bears Nadia Drive. Please be on the lookout there. While driving around Sandton, expect delays on the M1 South between Greyston Drive and Corlett Drive. There's also slow-moving traffic along the M1 North. This is between Boysons Road and Carr Street. I'm seeing roadworks taking place along this route, so please drive with care. If you're traveling on the M2 East, traffic remains heavily backed up between Heidelberg Road and Reuven Road. This is as you head towards areas like Germiston. You might want to avoid that route as well. City of Tshwane, delays on the N1 South between Sefako Makhato exit and the Proof Plus interchange, and that's due to an earlier accident. I'm Amo Ramela. Karabojali will have your next traffic update. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
8 out of 10 radio listeners suffer from CAR, or car advertising on repeat. Symptoms include fatigue, anxiety, and confusion. With so many car ads coming at you on your daily commute, buying or selling a car can feel overwhelming. But there is a cure.
Cars.coza. Whatever car you want to buy or sell, cut through the and just go to cars.coza and let's find what moves you. Cars.coza.
South Africa's youth have the potential, they just need the opportunity. This Youth Month, your business can join forces with the Youth Employment Service, South Africa's leading private sector youth employment initiative to help empower the nation's youth. Investing in youth employment positively impacts countless lives while boosting your BBBEE score, ESG integration and talent pipeline. It's a win for your business and for South Africa. Solidify your legacy with the youth of South Africa today by joining at yesforyouth.co.za. Hashtag say yes. One job, countless futures.
Betway's exclusive new games are taking the world by storm. Featuring massive megaways jackpots. Take your shot on cash and riches. Wolf Blaze, Gallo Gold Brunos, and many more incredible experiences for you to choose from. You're guaranteed to find a new ultra fun favorite. Get way more only at Betway. Betway is licensed by the Mpumalanga Economic Regulator. No persons under the age of 18 are permitted to gamble. NRGP counseling line 0800 006 008. All events are fixed odds betting games.
Aquele.
Aquele.
Aqueli.
Aquela.
Aquele.
Aquili.
Aquele.
No matter how you say it, one thing's for sure. Aquele is South Africa's most loved water brand, refreshing you with pure natural spring water and delicious flavored sparkling drinks. From every sip to every smile, thank you Mzansi for making Aquele a part of your everyday moments. Aquele, spreading joy to South Africa naturally.
This week marks the final installment of Season 4 of R&B Africa Focus on 702, and we're shining the spotlight on Africa's competitive edge in global markets. Join award-winning journalist Crystal Odison for one last deep dive into the sectors and strategies positioning Africa as a force in world trade and investment. Don't miss R&B Africa Focus today on 702 Drive with John Pellman. R&B is a proud sponsor of B20 and a leading African corporate and investment bank.
Coming up
on 702 Afternoons with Relebogile Maboja.
It's 23 minutes before 12 o'clock. We continue with our conversation about the adoption of the Freedom Charter. It's 70 years since that adoption, and I've been asking whether we've achieved the ideals of the Freedom Charter. I'm going to get Advocate Dalimpofu Sem Matias and Jackie Soroke to respond in a moment to some of the things that were raised by Mli, who called us earlier before the headlines. But before we do, let's find out what's coming up on 702 Afternoons with Relebogile Mabocha between 1 and 3 p.m. How are you doing, Relebogile?
I am well, and you, Clement?
Good. What's popping?
Coming up on the show, it is our final installment in the Youth Takeover on 702 Afternoons. And we've built up to the role of host, which is the big one. And we decided as a team, because there were so many submissions and we want to give as much opportunity as possible, that we would have two individuals. So we'll be meeting Gerard Maritz, who is a Tux student, who is absolutely wants to be a radio host, as well as Khanya Ramahadi, who is 14 years old and is still in school for the role of host. They came already yesterday to watch from behind the scenes. Today, we're going to just get to know them, and we'll have a little surprise in terms of what it is they're going to get to do. But we are so excited. We're also going to have Belief Matters. Why is a 4-leaf clover considered lucky? So we'll be joined by Janine Preston to chat to us about that. Wendy Nola comes through in our consumer rights feature. We've got another car dealership issue that we will be addressing with them. But Clement, before I go, one tip that you would share for our budding radio hosts that are just so green, so young, but so energetic and excited.
Don't mess it up. That's what Stephen Grooters. The first time I ever did a radio show, Mzo, I was, then the program manager said,
yes,
Stephen Grooters is not going to be here and you're going to stand in on the midday report a few years ago. And I was like, what do you mean? I'm just a field journalist. And I said to Stephen, what advice do you have for me? And I was this young reporter, and Stephen said, don't mess it up. And he didn't use the word mess.
I know exactly the word
that's what I said to them when they left. I
you
said,
met them.
don't mess it up.
Man, that is so great. I'm so excited.
They're
and
so cute.
I just, my heart is so sad that it's coming to an end for Youth Month. But who knows? Maybe the team and I will see how we can create these opportunities more often.
Can't wait to listen to them. It's 20 minutes before 12.
The Dialogue with Clement Manyathela.
It's not just another roundtable discussion.
Let's walk the talk on 702.
All right, so let's continue our conversation now. Advocate Dalimpofu, we got a call earlier from Mli, who says, why are we bashing the ANC as if the Freedom Charter is a document of the ANC? But he argues that you're being disingenuous here and together with Sam and Jackie by not acknowledging that there has been some progress that's been made in as far as the ideals of the Freedom Charter are concerned.
Yes, thank you, Clement. You know, I don't want to repeat what I said earlier. I think Manyathela maybe must invest in listening to the podcast afterwards. And he will realize that I did not do the things that he has said. Firstly, nobody has ever said the Freedom Charter is an ANC document. I mean, that's ridiculous. The ANC only adopted the Freedom Charter in 1956. A year after its adoption. But be that as it may, nobody in their right mind can deny the fact that we have made some progress, Clement. I wouldn't be talking to you now if we were not made, and we vote and all those things and so on. Yeah. But that's not the point we are making. The point we are making, the question I was responding to from you was whether the ANC giving itself 80%, distinction in the achievement of the Freedom Charter ideals is correct. And the answer is obviously no. And I doubt that Manyathela would argue with that. So whether it gives it 10 or 20%, even 20%, I can maybe give it 20% to be generous. Even that 20%, even by ANC standards, is not a pass mark. So that's really the point there. So I don't want to get bogged down in that kind of issue. Here's the reality, Clement. And the analysis that's given by both Comrades Jackie and Sam are totally correct. Firstly, you can't just take the Freedom Charter as a document, and read it, the 10 clauses. You must understand its historical perspective. The Freedom Charter came in 1955 at a time after the ANC had been, and the liberation movement in general, had been radicalized, if you like, by the youth in 1944, led by Anton Lembede. And Anton Lembede's words were exactly that. That radicalization was needed because the ANC had sold out and collaborated and had taken a collaborationist approach to the struggle. And that led to mass mobilization, which culminated in the Freedom Charter in 1955. And those demands then were the minimum demands of the people. It is true that the Africanists within the ANC, including people like Mda, Sobukwe, and others, that was the fracture point. They said, no, this Freedom Charter is a deviation from the Program of Action of 1949, which it was in many ways. But the question was whether, is it a minimum document or is it an ultimate document and so on? That's a debate for another day. And the reality is that whatever you think of the Freedom Charter, if you look at it objectively, it has not been achieved. And last year, on the 29th of May, was a judgment not of Dalimpofu or Sam Matiase or Cheki or anyone, of the people of South Africa, who said that in their numbers, the ANC has failed in achieving those hopes. And that's why the ANC was taken out of power. The point I was making is that when the people of South Africa then took the ANC out because of its failure to achieve the Freedom Charter goals, among other things, what the ANC did was to sell out even more by deviating. Instead of saying, okay, maybe we've failed, let's go and partner with some of the people who believe in these ideals and see how we can achieve them. They then went and did the exact opposite by going to the people who are against even the ideals of the Freedom Charter. And that will never work. That's just a suicidal move by the ANC.
Yeah. Sam,
and that's the point I'm making here.
Yeah, Sam, how do we then reset? Because that's the point Jackie made. How do we reset? And I know the president has now announced this national dialogue. He says this is going to prepare us now for this next stage of our democracy. What guides us now? Is the Freedom Charter still the relevant document that we should use as our vision? And how do we achieve those when we still don't really have complete unity, even among the black parties, for instance? Yes, Sam?
Yes, Clement, before I respond to your question, let me quickly rebuke what Mli has said. I want to trivialize the most important thing. I want to make as if that the ANC has got no amount of blame to take here. Look, our economy has not been transformed, and this is the point that I've made. Our wealthiest 10% of the citizens owns 85% of the economy. And of that 10%, 0.1 owns 25% of the economy. South Africa is the most unequal society in the world. Nowhere else in the world so few own so much. And that's the reality of the 30 years of the ANC rule and its failure to implement the Freedom Charter. And why would ANC not take blame if 85% of the economy is still vested in and concentrated in 10% of the most wealthiest of the citizens, and most of them are white? So this is the most fundamentally important point that these discussions must center around. So to respond to your question, the EFF frames its radical economic policies as a necessary intervention to take forward the aspirations contained in the Freedom Charter. And we regard the Freedom Charter as a minimum program with minimum demands. And these minimum demands, which are mainly general liberties that anyone else, whether in Canada or in Norway or anywhere else, has the inherent birthright to enjoy these rights.
Yeah.
These rights are not communistic, are not socialist, are not what you would find in Cuba, are not what you would find in China or in the former Soviet Union. These are minimum demands that Johan Rupert, Oppenheimer, and everyone else, John Steenhuisen, Helen Zille, must be able to accept that as white people having enjoyed these rights for more than 350 years, Africans are entitled, have got the right to enjoy this. And these are minimum aspirations that the ANC cannot implement. Now, the EFF gives a radical interpretation and takes the struggle a notch higher and demand that land must be restored back to the people by ensuring state ownership, state custodianship of the land, to ensure that the minimum demands and aspirations of the Freedom Charter are realized.
Yeah.
And the EFF comes at the right time in the history of this country to take this struggle forward. And we hope people like Mli will understand this imperative after these discussions going forward.
Yeah, Jackie, do you think there's still hope for the ideals of the Freedom Charter, especially given the context now where you've got parties who believe in the Freedom Charter who are in the GNU, parties like yourselves who are in the GNU with parties that don't believe in the Freedom Charter?
Look, I want to make this point that the the problems that beset South Africa, that beset the people now, are really structural in nature. And the problem are where we could find it all in the Constitution. The Constitution of South Africa is a hybrid. It includes the first constitution as it was set up after the British and the Boers had a war in 1909 when they settled. The one where almost the whole of the land excluded African people. That's why the African National Congress was set up in the first place. That constitution has been amended, I think, more than 5 times, and this is the 6th amended constitution which the world has lauded. But that constitution itself has sucked in the rest of us, the African people, into a system that does not benefit them. I mean, each time there are changes, we must ask who benefits. And in the instance of the South African Constitution, it is the minority groups, if you like, that are benefiting from this. I mean, there's no doubt about it that the white people since 1994 have actually shot up the lifestyle and have increased their wealth because we have legitimized the failure, the land robbery, and so on, whereas the majority of the people are in poverty. So the Constitution has trapped us in that high levels of poverty that the people are facing, and that is where I think the changes must take place to transform society from the way in which it had operated in the past, including currently, and make a liberated country for what it is. The indigenous people who have been invaded by foreigners have to have the right to self-determination realized and accepted. Their right to their land. The Khoisan, almost all the people who have been in Africa are now marginalized. That's one. The second element is that the Constitution itself that we talk about allows people and political parties in this new phase to adopt ethnic and tribal elements within them in order to further divide the people. So, in our view, when the ANC rejected African nationalism and its broad aspect of Pan-Africanism to decolonize us from colonialism and imperialism, it legitimized a system that will take us longer to change, to transform, and to bring into a new country. The PAC obviously takes a different view. We would like to see one Azania, one nation, one people, where the individual is accorded all the rights that an individual should have, rather than having group rights which come in different forms. It is no surprise that you'd find a group like the Afrikaner leaders going to Europe and discussing issues of themselves as a separate exclusive group, whereas the majority of the people are silent.
Yeah.
This is an entrenchment of the divisions of apartheid, and we continue to see them now.
Yeah.
So,
Jackie, got you there. Let me thank you because I'm out of time now. Thank you so much for joining us for this chat, Jackie Soroke, Sam Matias, and Advocate Dalimpo. For it's 7 minutes before 12. When we come back, I'll take your thoughts on the WhatsApp line as we wrap up this conversation. And you can call us as well on 011-883-0702. What's your assessment of where we are? And do you still think the Freedom Charter is still a relevant document today? And if really the argument is that we need to reset, how do we do that? Is the national dialogue, for instance, an opportunity for us to do that?
Aubrey Masango.
Weekday evenings,
8 to midnight.
Dr. Kimberly Chappelle, Assistant Professor in the Department of Anatomical Sciences at Stony Brook University in New York. Were dinosaurs for real, or are they just fantasy and great entertainment?
They're absolutely real. In fact, South Africa has one of the most interesting dinosaur fossil records in the world. And very excited about the new dinosaur center in Golden Gate Highlands National Park. And now everyone can go and see dinosaurs for themselves. They're all very proudly South African dinosaurs too.
Aubrey Masango.
8 to midnight on 702.
702.
This just in, Zandile, a 36-year-old woman, has added an unbelievable 918 Rand a month, more money to her budget. That's right. She switched to OUTsurance and now saves 918 Rand a month on a 2024 Cherry Tiggo 1.5 litre. Get a quote today and see how much OUTsurance could save you on your car insurance. Call 08600 60,000 or visit outsurance.co.za. You always get something out. Licensed insurer and FSP. T's and C's and information online.
We are woven into the same soil that shapes South Africa. Its dreams, its energy, its promise. These guide us. Together we've built progress, hand in hand, from the mines to bustling main streets, from one generation to the next. With communities, government and partners, every initiative from healthcare to education, youth empowerment to entrepreneurship lights the way forward. Because we don't just mine minerals, we mine possibility and progress with purpose. Together, we're shaping what's next. Mining potential, building beyond. Anglo-American.
Kickstart your small business with a starter bundle from Nedbank. Enjoy free transactions for 6 months, including free cash deposits and withdrawals and a free debit card with easy digital access and a dedicated banker to guide you along every step of the way. Open a Nedbank starter bundle with SA's best bank for SMEs. Apply on the Money app today. Nedbank. See money differently. Nedbank is a licensed FSP and credit provider. T's and C's apply.
This Youth Month, the Seas Roar finds a new voice as the Two Oceans Aquarium Foundation, in partnership with Prime Media Cares, give the youth of our nation the opportunity to speak for the sea. Proudly presenting Ocean FM on primemediaplus.com, where the mic is put in the hands of the next generation. They will be talking tides, turtles, and the urgent call to protect our coastal heritage. Only on Sunday, the 29th of June, from 12 until 3 p.m. only on primemediaplus.com.
The Dialogue with Clement Manyathela.
It's not just another roundtable discussion.
Let's walk the talk on 702.
4 minutes before 12 o'clock, let's wrap up with some of the WhatsApp voice notes that have come through.
Good morning, Clement and the team. I personally believe that the only freedom that has happened is the freedom to open up borders, which is nothing wrong with that. It's just the rights and the protection is for those who are coming into a country. There has been no infrastructure development for the population that we are now. We've just opened up the gates for all to come in, but nothing has done for all who has come in. So the freedom for everybody is there, but there are no guidelines, responsibilities, there's no implementations done, there's no infrastructure done. It's just freedom for all, but nothing to compensate for that freedom, and South Africans have to pay that tax for everybody to be here.
Good morning, Clement. Great show as always. Clement, I don't see the Freedom Charter ideals being realized for as long as white people do not see and do not acknowledge the effects of apartheid on this country. The general response from white people in the country is that it's 30 plus years later, get on with the program.
Yeah.
So these are people that don't understand that years and years of seclusion, educationally, economically, socially, what type of effects that has on people, you know? And I think until they come to the party, it's just all talk. This is made worse by a government that is too scared to rattle the cage in order for things to go right. So it's all going to be talk. It will be 400 years later, we'll all be dead and gone. And still, things will still not have changed for the black person living in South Africa. And that's the sad part. Zeb Khoza, Pretoria.
Elevate your flying experience with Lift Premium. Enjoy even more space, comfort, and convenience with priority boarding, extra baggage allowance, and complimentary lounge access. Visit lift.co.za today.
Close your eyes. Taste the mist from the Sunny Pass waterfall. Feel the calm beneath the waves in Scottsboro. See the giants in East London. Breathe in the air of the Knysna Forest. Hear the roar of adventure in White River. 5 premier resorts, 5 senses, 5 all-inclusive escapes. Visit premierhotels.co.za for T's and C's and bookings.
Dear Journal, trying to be an adult at 3,469. Just had a fantastic 2-hour meeting. It was so productive that we accomplished nearly as much as I could have done with one well-written email.
Hating the corporate 9 to 5? Get covered at pineapple.co.za. It's easy and like 19 Rand a day, so it's 100% the insurance for you. Underwritten by Old Mutual Alternative Risk Transfer Insurer Limited, a licensed non-life insurer and authorized FSP. Premiums are risk profile dependent.
702 and the Discount Foundation are shining the spotlight on the health matters you want to know more about. Here's what we explored this month.
Well, every time they swipe their benefit cards, they certainly are assisting with all the work that we do. We've just put together a beautiful partnership with Hisense, and they've gifted us a whole lot of washing machines.
Oh, fabulous.
And we'd like to give 2 of those to your 2 facilities in Cape Town. And on top of that, we'd like to give health and hygiene products.
That will come in handy because the youth are staying with us. We've got laundry and so on. So these machines,
the laundry leads are spectacular.
In Conversation on Afternoon Drive with John Perlman. Brought to you by the Discount Foundation, caring for the community on 702.
Right, thank you so much for listening to the Thursday edition of the Clement Manyathela Show. We're back tomorrow between 9 and 12. Have a beautiful day, friends. Bye-bye.
This is EWN.
Good afternoon, I'm Bali Dlamini. In the midst of speculation that President Cyril Ramaphosa is set to reshuffle his cabinet, Minister in the Presidency Khumbudzo Ntshabeni has told journalists she has no say. Ntshabeni says the prerogative lies slowly in the hands of the President. Ramaphosa has been under pressure to remove Minister of Higher Education Nobuhle Nkabane over her hand